Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. It's like I've got a pay rise, so I've got a new Patreon, which is measured flat, so massive shout out to you. And Chris Wouters, Mr. Amish, Sensual Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Todd Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Melts24, Unimento, M Iron26, Endless, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, Level Plain Poem, Cannabear, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels Banter, Mel B Styles, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
The eclipse yesterday, where I was in Alabama, you pretty much got like, when you got a crescent moon, that's what I got, but with the sun. And what my son did was, I found a bunch of sunglasses, and he put them all on top of each other, like 4 pairs. He tied it up with a rubber band, and he found some 3D glasses from some movie we went to. And he put the lenses, doubled up the lens, and put it just in the right eye. And we were able to look right up and see the whole thing.
Okay, cool.
Without hurting our eyes. It was pretty ingenious, I thought.
Yeah, good stuff.
I just found 5 pairs of sunglasses. I thought we'd all put a pair on. He was like, no, you can't look at it. So he went in his room and he came out. We had to take chance a piece, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's also a weird time in terms of getting comments from people saying, oh, look, this is predicted down to the second by the heliocentric model, albeit with worse phrasing. And what I kind of have to paraphrase back to them is, if you want to call that a victory, it's a victory that's derived from measurements that are taken from a flat Earth. The system has come to pass to make better predictions about when things will be versus our crappy calendar. So if it's a victory for you, if you think you're living on a ball that's been reified over the course of the last 300 years from a model that's been derived from flat Earth angle measurements to the stars to give us a conceptual based mathematics to better predict when epicycles / retrograde motion will work within their models. And you're like, okay, you've got better predictive capabilities by turning the world spherical and moving it around the sun. That's giving you better predictive capabilities. But as I've just described, over the course of 300 years, people have literally put themselves into that model and reified it into existence. But it still has its origins in the flat Earth measurements that we're describing in 2024. So if you want to call that a victory, okay, well, it's a victory for the predictive capabilities based on the flat Earth measurements. Well done for you for believing in a sphere Earth's measured flat.
Absolutely. And I tell you, they were all over the chat yesterday. Yeah, perfect. Look at that. Still no answer, huh, flat earthers? So I was literally abusing them in the or berating them in the chat.
I'm so tired. I was woken up to my eldest daughter screaming her head off. What's going on? Jump out of bed. Suddenly you got all the adrenaline pumping around you when you're fast asleep. And she's like, I hate Vampirina. I wish the people who made it would just die. I'm like, you started screaming because you hate a cartoon that your sister's watching. She went under the covers and started crying. I'm like, as much as I want to offer sympathy at this moment, I'm so tired. Anyway.
That just reminded, because Lost Boys was on the other day, and I was watching it with my wife. And it was the part where his brother was was a half a vampire, and he was floating in the air, and he's on the phone with his mother, and he screams, "He's coming to get me!" And then she comes home, and he says, because now he's trying to protect his brother. She's like, "What was that? I thought somebody was after you." He said, "No, I was reading a comic book, a horror comic." And she's like, "A comic book?" He said, "It's a really scary comic, Mom." Oh, shoot. That just reminded me of that. That's funny.
They don't make them like they used to. I used to love the Lost Boys when I was a kid.
Oh, so you know the part I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's a classic. We don't ride with vampires. All right, then stay here. We do now.
They jump in the old convertible they've robbed off the grandpa. He says, "You've got a TV, right? You've got a TV guide." He says, "If you've got a TV guide, you don't need a TV."
The old man was funny. What happened to the coffins? That's what this kid is. One big coffin. Yeah, there's some classic one-liners in that one. I love that movie.
So, from seeing an eclipse now with your own eyes, I don't know if you had previously or not. My impressions of eclipses is exactly. I couldn't have phrased it better than you did. It looks like the phases of the moon as it's occurring. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Right. Well, to say or suggest that there's something physically occulting the moon when it goes through its phases seems absurd. And I had a quick glance, I won't lie, at the footage that some of my subscriptions in YouTube had to offer. And I couldn't tell you to promote who actually got the footage that I watched, but it was pretty good. And it was like, yeah, that's what it looks like. but where's the moon? Is my question. If it's claimed to be moving in front of it, you'd expect to see something that resembles the moon at some point, but you don't really get that. You get what looks like a very fast interchange of phases like you'd have on the moon, but on the sun. That's how you described it, right? And you'd only just seen it's fresh in your mind.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. I thought I was seeing sun moon.
Yeah, so its behaviour looks more like that. I don't know. The whole occultation in a heliocentric orbital motion is obviously absurd. We know that's not the case. So it's back to pondering what it could be, to no real avail, like people have probably done for thousands of years.
But I thought they say the sun and the moon are not the same size. So if that was the moon going in front of the sun, then they're exactly the same size.
Apparent size in the heliocentric model based on scale and distance, which has all been given to them by Kepler. So,
right.
Okay, yeah, they are the same apparent size. They're the same angular size if you measure them.
But technically, the sun is a lot bigger, right? But it's supposedly further away.
No, the scale has come from Kepler and hijacking flat Earth measurements of things like radial values. So the scale wasn't really cemented until Huygens. We've gone through this millions of times, Neil.
Wait a second. But I thought the sun was like 5 times the size of the Earth.
Yeah, according to Kepler and his scales and interplanetary motion and orbital motion and Earth being a sphere and Earth moving around the sun, then yeah, the sun is claimed to be much, 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 much bigger and much, 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 much further away, giving you an angular size identical to the moon's, which is much, much, much closer and much, much, much smaller than even the value of us as a sphere on Earth that's assumed based on a radial value measured off a flat Earth, back calculatable into the angles to the star based on a polar-eccentric system measured on a flat Earth. Well, asking me how big the sun is, it's like... that's why we ask daily. I don't know how big it is, or how big the moon is.
I'm talking about according to their model. According to their whole heliocentric thing, is supposed to be 5 times bigger than the Earth, right? And the moon is supposed to be smaller than the Earth. But to
No,
me,
it's
if
actually
that was the moon
Neil.
going in front of the sun,
Go on, Mush.
If
Set
you
him
go,
straight.
I'm sorry. Good morning, gentlemen. I'm sorry
Good
to cut you
morning.
off, Neil. On Google, they actually claim the sun is 109 times larger than Earth. But in whole heliocentric
see what I'm
rhetoric,
saying?
which many, yeah, the sun is supposed to be 400 times larger than the moon and 400 times further away. That's why they appear the same size in their paradigm.
Yeah, that's a bunch
And
of
that's what Danny
bullshit.
Faulkner also reiterated.
Hey,
It's
can
a
you
bunch
say
of bullshit.
I'm not hearing him because of you chanting bullshit through the top of him?
What didn't you hear, Nathan?
I got to know
That's just what they
30% of
claim.
it with Neil talking through you.
So Danny Faulkner also said that the other day that the sun is 400 times larger than the moon, and 400 times at the same time 400 times further away than the moon. That's what makes them appear the same size. And if you Google it, sun is 109 times larger than Earth.
Yeah, by scale given to us by Kepler.
Right.
It's a bunch of bullshit.
That was
Bunch of
the right
bullshit.
time. That was the right moment, Neil. Had it not been for the fact you said it 3 times previously, which all made it through.
Oh, it's hard when Mighty Mush is talking because I don't hear him right away.
Okie dokie. Hello. Who is that just joined? John, hello. Got nothing.
You talking to Discord, Nathan?
Sorry.
No, I was talking to refracted curvature. Why is there a John in the Discord server
Did you
as
hear
well?
me?
Sorry, John. Hello.
Hello. Sorry. Did you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Is there a John in the Discord server as well? Is that why you were asking if I was talking to the Discord server? Is someone in there called John also?
No, sorry. I couldn't hear that well. I was confused. My apologies.
That's all right. All good.
Migo Wigo, is this your footage that you just posted in the main text chat? All right, maybe he's not there.
Some Eclipse footage.
Yeah, there's a photograph that Migo Wigo just posted. I don't know if you can see it in Discord, Nathan. If not, I can put it in Skype. Just don't have my Skype open yet.
Yeah, stick it in Skype.
I can
Actually,
do
my
that.
son got some good shots through the sunglasses that my other son made. I'll send them. I'll send them to Master B as soon as I can.
Mush, could you post the 2 videos I posted in Discord main chat into Skype, please? Nathan, one of them is a small channel called
Sure.
Real Nuclear Physicist, and he's recently made videos about flatzoid. So he's getting dangerously close to yourself. So I thought you might want a preemptive strike if you want to look at his channel. He's covered Mark Sargent and David Weiss as well. And the other one is a channel called Inspired Philosophy, and he gives a really good rendition of the delayed choice quantum razor experiment. But then he goes off into his heliocentric paradigm at the end. So, and he's someone who, as well, who interacts with the audience and gives little hearts here and there. And by the look of it, he's a Christian as well. So he might be worth reviewing, getting your viewers to his channel in the comment section, because he's someone who may interact. He won't just ignore you, hopefully.
Okay. Well, yeah, if I can get it in the Skype, we'll have a look at it and we'll just cover it in the live show. That's good by you. Thank you for checking it
Another
out.
Christian heliocentrist, huh?
Say again, Neil?
Said another heliocentrist Christian that's not reading his Bible.
Maybe. We don't know. We haven't watched it yet.
Well, he gives a
If
really
he's
good
a
rendition of the delayed choice experiment. So he's a man of competence, just of ideology. But it's easy to pull out of that once you know what it's built upon.
Yeah, but my son does the same thing with the delayed choice quantum eraser. He has it all down the same way QE explains it. And then he goes off into heliocentrism with it. I don't get it.
I would love to hear that connection.
Well, he starts talking about quantum entanglement and all of that stuff.
Okay, simply moving faster than the speed of light. Now make relativity work with that.
Okay, so that open.
What's he called? Guy we're covering?
Inspiring philosophy.
Inspiring philosophy.
It's posted in Skype, Nathan. It's the last post.
Okay. Delayed choice quantum eraser experiment explained. Isn't okay. I thought we were covering something else.
Oh,
We could do it
there was
another
two
day.
there, just in your own time, you know, or you can. The other guy was a real nuclear physicist, and he was a guy who was critiquing Flatzoid and the Earth and Flatzoid's interaction with Simon Dan. So as I said, he's the guy who's dangerously close to your server.
And who's
He
that?
hasn't quite
Same
got
guy?
there yet. No, different guy. That's real nuclear physicist. Did you
That
post
sounds
that
more
one?
like that's up our street. What's he covering in the video that's getting... Have we got a video on him?
Yeah,
I
there's a
just
video
posted
where
it. Just
there's
posted.
several of it. Go ahead.
I just put it in Skype.
Thank you. People have started cheating in this game I play. Very irritating.
They got an aimbot on.
No, not an aimbot. What they do is... So I thought it was me at first, and then after a few times of it happening, I'm like, oh, right, so they can do that, can they? What they'll do is, you'll be running around, and what they'll do is they'll disconnect your mouse from the game. So you run up on someone, you go, all right, I'll shoot them in the head, and then your mouse disconnects from the game. You're like, oh, what's going on? And suddenly your controller's disconnected, and then you're just a sitting duck to be shot in the face or whatever. But now it's happened about 10 or 15 times, you know, no coincidence. You go near somebody. A couple of times somebody does it and they're obviously extremely unskilled. And you can just about get the mouse connected back to the game and still beat them. But you're like, oh, people are so crap at the game that they have to force their opponent to have no control of their character to be able to shoot them quick enough. You're like, oh, that's a bit crap, isn't it? But fair enough. Probably kids playing it and they're like, Dad, I can't make this game win. Oh, let's have a look. I'll make my kid stop moaning. Here you go. I'll put this little program on that'll disconnect your opponent's mouse when he's close for Timmy to win.
Playing games when we should be taking it serious.
I don't necessarily care about the game actually being played. I'm more than content to just have the pretty pictures of someone else playing in the background. So, you know, I'll literally chew up the rendering electricity to have someone else play it for me. When I first played it, when I was first testing out the it was actually a new graphics card that I got about 3 years ago for the old system, and I was like, I'll just test it with whatever's free, which was Fortnite because it's free. And what I would do on stream is find the closest tall building and immediately commit suicide, just so I could let the game continue to play in that match with, watching someone else. And it would just put the computer under full load. So that was my main purpose in doing it. Now, as time's gone by, I've actually, you play it a bit more and more, and you care less and less about the testing aspect of it, and more about the fact that I want it to look pretty on the stream. It's just there's something going on. Because after watching back, if you listen back to a few of the more recent shows, you've got a couple of choices. If there's nothing going on screen and there's dead air, it's terrible. Because people will go, is this broken? But if they look down and there's dead air and there's somebody flying around on a pretty screen in a very cartoony Fortnite. I like that. Then it's just for the 5 seconds that no one's talking, it doesn't become an uncomfortable silence for the person who's watching it after the fact in the recording. So I really like having something like a game just playing in the background, just so there's something a bit more visually interesting than the slideshow video that I have, because that's boring. Once you've seen it once or twice, it only becomes useful if there happens to be that moment when somebody in debate is talking about something that I can pause it on. It just happens to be that's really all I use it for, because most of it's useful, right? Apart from the odd thumbnail without words on it. It's mostly useful imagery that we can use in the discussion. But if we're just discussing Lost Boys, you know, and then there's a long pause, it's better to have something on screen. But yeah, as time gone by, I have actually played the game because it's been on the computer, or whatever computer I've had, for many, many years. So I can actually play it. And like I say, when you're just committing suicide, you don't notice little things like people cheating. The game's very much secondary importance in terms of what goes on. In other words, I'm not going to be cursing and throwing controls around if I die. Like game streamers would, because I'm not a game streamer. But the fact that we've got a stream and we can have a game on and I've got the capabilities of doing it, why not? Looks a lot better than my slides.
And there was the awkward silence that we were needing to prove your point.
Exactly. Not that you can see what's going on.
John, did you have any part of the eclipse visible by you? Refracted?
Nah, it was cloudy.
I was telling Nathan, my son made a pair of glasses. He put 4 or 5 sunglasses together, and then he took the 3D movie glasses, and he put the 2 lenses on top of each other and slid it in between the sunglasses just on the right eye. So we were able to look directly at it. And if you close your left eye, you got a perfect shot of it. It was really cool. I got a crescent sun. That's what I got. Like 85% was blocked, and it looked like a crescent sun.
Well, the angles that for them to assert these things are blocking each other. You have to be able to take elevation angles to build a model to assert that these things are crossing in front of each other, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's correct. That's what Nathan was saying earlier. But they were all out in chat yesterday declaring victory because of the eclipse. Meanwhile, it's all derived from flat Earth. What a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, their lunar eclipse thing, when they say that the Earth is between the sun and the moon, that's an angular relationship they're asserting. Well, where are they getting it from? It's a celestial sphere.
Precisely. So in years gone by, people shoving the heliocentric predictive capabilities in my face, you'd be like, oh, this is awkward, isn't it? They're right. Their model is very eloquent. Yeah, because it's been derived from flat Earth measurements of the angles to the stars. So a win for them is actually a loss for them, because to say it's one is based on how accurately you've taken the measurements. And how are the measurements taken? Well, they're taken with respect to a flat plane. So how can you then call it a heliocentric victory? You can't, can you? Okay, I've got this guy queued up then. Answering Mark Sargent's dumb science questions. Oh, okay, didn't know Mark was asking science questions. That should be interesting. This is right up our street, unlike the other one. No offense. Mush. Is it Mush?
Was that? That was both videos were from Sensual Goat this morning.
Okay. The first one he said, which is covering quantum eraser or delayed choice quantum eraser experiment explained. Maybe we'll get to that one, but do we need that? I mean, the quantum eraser is great and everything, but
Agent,
Well, as I
is
said,
it because you don't
gives
feel
it.
confident about that?
no,
Because
it's
I
not.
think you're very equipped.
No, it's nothing to do with my confidence level in it. There were times in years gone by that I wasn't confident enough to do a presentation on the quantum eraser. Although this isn't on the. This is. I don't know. Would I be confident enough to do a presentation on it? Probably not, because my focus is always going to be on the conclusion that's drawn at the end of it. Right? There is a God. There can't be anything other than the creator if nature can't create itself. And then if you're going to offer validity for the ontological primitives, you can look at things like quantum mechanics or the delayed choice quantum eraser. It's useful for debunking some Einstein nonsense with time as well. I mean, it's got its uses. It's just literally got someone with the namesake quantum eraser, haven't we? Would he not be the better person to do it? Why would I butcher it?
Yeah, so you're not feeling confident, but I think you're fully equipped. I've heard you before.
I'm not saying I'm incapable of doing it. It's just when you've literally got somebody who's on your team that's like, that is their namesake.
So then why don't we hold it, and when QE comes on, we'll plop it in.
We'll get him to do it.
Or that too.
Indeedy.
Well, that video is 11 minutes 45 seconds, and he only goes into his paradigm right at the end at the 10-minute 30 mark. So up to then, he's sound because all he's doing is he's just telling you what the experiment is and how it was performed and what the implications are. And then at the end, he goes into his paradigm and tries to sandwich in his paradigm with the experiment. So it's only about a minute that he does that for. But it's a very long and interesting minute.
Okay. Well, that's useful, very useful to know, because then maybe that's the bit that we should cover, right? Is that what you're suggesting? In other words, rather than listening to his very competent
Yes.
explanation for the delayed choice quantum eraser, which you're saying is perfectly adequate, if not very good, it's more intriguing to hear how he then sandwiches in presumably a heliocentric paradigm into what he's just explained, and how he's gone through the process of doing that in the last minute of the video. Yeah, well, maybe we'll cover that then.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll get that queued up
I've
too.
had conversations with people in real time, and they do the same thing. So having a video I can send them, as well as you do, would be ideal.
Okay, let's bring it up as a separate video. Delayed choice quantum eraser experiment explained.
The results of the delayed choice quantum eraser experiments can be mind-boggling in many ways, yet many people misunderstand the implications because they don't understand the experiments. So I'd like to explain the most famous one from 1999 and share the shocking implications of the experiment. But first, we need to understand what a delayed choice quantum eraser experiment means to do by modifying the original double slit experiment. And whatever registers at D0 always correlates to wherever its twin ends up. So if the twin hits D3 or D4, D0 always registers a clump pattern to
It's
correlate,
at 10:30,
and always an interference
10:35
pattern
he starts
if it's twin.
in his paradigm.
Okay. That said, I just happened to land right on his very, very good explanation with a great diagram of the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment with his concise explanation of exactly that. So we might as well listen to it as it's on screen.
Lands at D.
What was the timestamp you just gave me? Because I've forgotten it already.
10:30.
10:30. Okay, I'll spin up to that once we've listened to this.
D1 or D2. So either the photon has a highly complex computer built into it, so it can know the future, or we have an idealistic picture of reality, and our knowledge of this system affects the past by loading up a back history to correlate with our knowledge. John Wheeler said, "It begins to look as if we ourselves, by a last-minute decision, have an influence on what a photon will do when it has already accomplished most of its doing."
Well, you can influence it by having knowledge of which path it's taken. If you know which path, then you can claim you've influenced it, but all you've done is acquire the knowledge of which path. That is quite literally the independent variable. Go ahead. Go ahead. Who is that? Somebody wanted to say something.
It's false. The information is what changes its path, not the knowledge.
Yeah, the information.
We have to say that we ourselves have an undeniable part in shaping what we have always called the past. The past is not really the past until it has been registered. Or put it another way, the past has no meaning or existence unless it exists as a record in the present. An experiment from 2012 took this a step further.
Okay, let's take it to 10 minutes and 30 seconds.
Star that emits a photon billions of years ago and sends.
Okay, right about there. Right, that's all queued up. And
Yeah, that's it.
We'll cover the Mark Sargent one in the live show, and then we'll cover that one afterwards. Maybe in the live show, depends how time goes. Right, brilliant. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Oh, we're covering a Mark Sargent video today?
Not exactly. Someone responding to a Mark Sargent video.
Oh, okay.
Did he say that knowledge was collapsing the wave function?
I think I said that by mistake. It's knowledge of the which path information. I just shorten it. That's just me being lazy. So I've got to be careful. Hyperspecificity is something that is required when you're talking about things like the delayed choice quantum eraser. So me just saying knowledge of which path. It's like, no. Knowledge of the which path information. And the information itself doesn't even have to have anybody know about it. It just have to be in existence for somebody to acquire it at a later stage. So long as that information exists, the path is set by the standard that the guy just described. But yeah, us analysing which path it actually takes has a direct influence because we're at that point in that experiment, that's the double slit experiment, influencing, or so it seems, which path it goes through. Because prior to us actually trying to acquire the information, as in have the information in existence, it's just a diffraction pattern. There's no set path, right? It could go this way, it could go that way. It's unset. And then you acquire the information by looking at it, and you can convolute that into saying that you as the individual have had direct influence, but it's actually the acquisition of the which path information. So you're right to call me on that, and it was me that dropped it in incorrectly, John. Not that, unless you had an exemplary knowledge, which you obviously do, anybody else would pick up on that. But you are right, I think it was me that got it wrong. He might have done. I wasn't paying that close enough attention.
That's what my son says, though, exactly what you just said. He thinks that they're the cause.
No, so in terms of QE's example of this, he's got like a scenario or a hypothetical example where you've got the setup recording to a hard drive in a bunker somewhere, yeah? And if the building burns down and the experiment is completely eradicated, so long as the hard drive is accessible then you've had wave function collapse. Knowledge that the information is on that hard drive, right? Now, it doesn't matter that no one's looked at it yet, but if the hard drive was within the building, yeah, and the information was lost after the experiment had run, then even though you're recording which path the light goes through and storing it on a hard drive, that hard drive was destined for destruction. Therefore, the information was never actually in existence. It was never acquirable because no one had looked at it and the information was eventually destroyed. Therefore, you never had wave function collapse. You always had the diffraction pattern. Yeah? Even if someone walked into the experiment. So it's recording to a hard drive, right? And it's obviously got a slit detector. So it knows which slit it's going through and it's recording that information. Someone walks in just to have a check on what the experiment is and they go, oh my God, there's no 2 bars. It's just a diffraction pattern. What's going on? Something's gone wrong. So they go out, get a superior, and literally as they're telling the superior, no, we've got a diffraction pattern. Something's gone wrong with the test because we're recording it with the slit detector. We're acquiring the knowledge, it's the information rather, and it's going onto the hard drive, but we're not getting wave function collapse. Something's wrong. And in that instant, the entire lab sets on fire. Well, it's because the information was never acquirable to begin with. Well, that is a sort of semi-dumbed down version of what the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment shows, which is to say that it's already set before the particle actually goes through a gate or a path that has 2 choices. When the first particle of light reaches the whatever they've got, a sensor or a photographic plate, whatever it is they're doing in that version, it already knows before it's actually gone through and made the split and had the choice to be made. So they describe it as sort of a set and forget experiment, which is to say that the choice is already made before the light has actually got to the end path on the second longer journey. You already know if you've got wave function collapse or not in the first sensor, which is a much shorter path.
That's crazy. That's crazy. How's that do that?
Well, I don't know why it does that. I mean, it's because of the acquisition of the information. But in terms of my description of whether or not you'll have things set in terms of what they'll do, rather than just a probability of what they'll do, that is solely set on the information being acquirable. Having the information means you've got a dictation of how reality is going to cement itself. You know, it actualizes upon having the information. Prior to that, you don't have that. You've just got a probability of what could be.
Wow.
It implies omniscience, which is QE's point of how it proves a career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we're not the omniscient ones in this experiment. We're
No.
not the knower.
That's what my son thinks.
Your son believes he is omniscient?
No, he thinks he's the one that controls everything. I think right at that last part is when he goes
Right.
off the rail.
Right, the conclusion, he doesn't understand. It's the information. He thinks it's a knower that's doing it. And it's, yeah. People are kind of prideful, aren't they?
Well, he's really confusing me lately with his understanding of scripture. It's driving me crazy. But anyway, he got freaking let go of his job yesterday. I felt really bad for him.
Did he tell him that he was omniscient?
Nah, he was. It was the perfect first job for him, and I don't know. They conspired. So they told him that they didn't have the hours, so I had to let him go. But of course, my wife, she's got a call, and they said same thing. They didn't have the hours, but that they also got a complaint. and he's terminated. So my son has no clue what the complaint is. But then to
Might be a mention.
further investigation, he looked up in corporate and it says you can't be fired for one complaint, and which she doesn't even know what it is, and they're supposed to explain it to you. They claim he didn't do something they told him to do.
Neil, I'm guessing the corporate headquarters is not in a right to work state. You are living in a right to work state. So corporate mandates and state law are two different positions. They can fire him for any reason.
Yeah, well, they did. And it sucks because he's new there, so he went in Easter Sunday, the whole day. The other night, he had to go in at 3 o'clock and work till past midnight because they were restocking the shelves. It's like a sort of like a Petco or PetSmart type place. And then they let him go. So they used him. And somebody wanted full time, so I guess they gave that person his hours, so the other person has full time. It's really grimy what they did.
They shouldn't have fired him. They should have just laid him off. But that's how a right to work state is. That's what people wanted. They heard right to work and they were like, yeah, I want the right to work. That's not what that law is about. You didn't read it.
We're starting the show, right?
No, got a couple of minutes. Oh no, my watch is slow. I think my watch needs servicing. Keeps losing time.
I'm thinking it's right on the hour. What are you talking about?
Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Good to have you all. We've got a couple of videos lined up. We might be covering the Quantum Eraser today. Depends. We'll see if Quantum Eraser, the namesake Quantum Eraser, that is, John, joins us later. If so, we'll hopefully cover a bit of Quantum Eraser goodness, or more specifically, the delayed choice Quantum Eraser. And we've also got a video that we're going to be covering that's critiquing Mark Sargent, new to us, so it'll be a typical flat earth debate response video in the respect that we've never seen it before and are responding to it as cold as you can get. So we'll cover those that were provided earlier by, I'm going to say, Sensual Goat. Is that right?
Correct.
So
That's
thank
correct.
you to Sensual Goat. But yeah, we'll cover those after a few housekeeping questions. So, any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Our pilot's correct.
You and your reference frames have been ruined.
Yeah, Simon Dunn's misinterpretation of how the globe Earth needs two reference frames to assert 15 degrees an hour drift, only to turn around to me and show me how there's no drift and claim that my reference frames are ruined, just shows a total lack of comprehension of the globe claim in the first instance, which requires two reference frames. So yeah, ruining them isn't a good idea, Dan.
Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
I don't think that was any evidence of. Okay, you did come off mute, Brian. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just saying that I asked earlier, the pilot's correct for this axial rotation. Because if they don't correct for it, then what could someone offer you? Do you know what I mean? In the way of evidence. Evidence of what?
Well, the axis is derived if you're going to describe the world as having antipodal positioning derived from the flat Earth elevation angle measurements within the celestial sphere model. If you infer two flat planes sandwiched antipodal with the sphere of the heavens from both a North Pole centric and South inferred pole-centric system, both flat, but sandwiched on top of one another to make a nice, convenient, perspective-based sphere, which you don't have, and we don't have antipodal positioning. What we do have is representations from what we describe as the south, with what we could describe as a central point of the stars moving around, similar to what we have in the north, and then connect the two on an antipodal positioning system that is flat with the celestial sphere wrapped around that. That's where you get to a sphere to then have both hemispheres projected out as the protractor you measured those systems in and call that a globe. So the reason I've gone through all that so early in the show is because I've quite enjoyed going to the commenters and pointing out when they say, hey, check out my heliocentric Ptolemaic-based Keplerian refined system for predicting eclipses. You're like, that system's derived from measurements of a flat Earth. So if you want to call it a victory, you can call it a victory for the heliocentric model. But in terms of asserting that that is actually where we stand, the model itself is derived from measurements of where we stand, and that's flat, because that's how the systems have come to pass. So it's, unlike previous years, far more tolerable for me in the comments responding each morning to people when I can just say, yeah, you'll need a flat Earth for this. If you're going to claim that heliocentrism's giving you great predictive capabilities of the stars, and therefore we're standing on a sphere, it's like, no, the sphere in mathematics came from flat Earth measurements of angles to the stars. So this is a victory for a flat Earth and a sad indictment to your reification of a model that came from that flat Earth that happens to be globe-shaped. That's not what we're standing on. Great model, though.
But they use the solar cycle, which is pre-globe. The solar cycle is what they use. It's what NASA uses to predict eclipses. And if astronomy are doing anything, they always presume that the astronomer is at the equatorial plane at equinox, so there's no tilt, and that plane extends out into the celestial plane, and that's a big stationary plane, and the stars move, and the heavenly bodies move. So they don't have anything.
Right.
They just presume they have.
Well, we now have a better understanding of where things like, let's ask this question, any scientific evidence of gravity?
Which one?
Well, that's the point, isn't it? We know the origins of a force and how it was superseded 109 years ago, and therefore we can describe the bent pseudo-Riemannian force space-time that isn't a force in a conceptual mathematics that's been designed solely to hold you to the ball as a force, but has now come to the point where their descriptions defy laws of nature, so they've taken into conceptual fourth-dimensional mathematics to make it that little bit more confusing. But if you understand the origins of gravity and its lack of scientific validity, or its existence in physical reality at all, especially when it comes to 4D space-time, you can then show your opponent how this part of the religion of heliocentrism functions. Now, if you're going to describe things like buoyancy in terms of how things move in various vectors depending on the medium they're in, then that's useful to understand if you're going to be dealing with weights and such like. Now, because of the religion of this country and many others, we would teach our children that there's a force of gravity that pulls things down. Now, I mention it because it came up today in a class that my daughter was doing, and I'm very, very proud of obviously both of my children, but in this instance I was exceptionally proud because the art teacher started talking about gravity. And she asked specifically my daughter, do you know what that is and what that means? And her answer was, yes, I know what it means. It means things will go down. And she's like, yes, we will be dripping paint down these easels in a free-form way that's not about what you produce, but about the process of doing it. And she explains the process of doing this art that she's teaching them. Now, what my daughter didn't do is go, look at the clouds, look at a balloon. So after the class, I said to her, I'm very proud that you didn't challenge the teacher. You just understood the importance of what she was teaching you in art without asking her about how balloons work. And her response to me was, yeah, I did kind of think, or I think she said something like, I almost said, what about a balloon? It's like, but you didn't, because you recognise the importance of understanding how that's a religious belief, because I teach her heliocentrism in the same way I'd teach her any other religious belief, of which there's plenty in this country to teach them because we celebrate all of them. So there's often stuff to provide my kids with education on religion. And that's all heliocentrism is, with a useful practical application in terms of predictive capabilities for Easter. That's all heliocentrism is an aspect in mathematics of a religion that's been reified into existence over the course of the last 300 years. But given that it is the predominant Western world religion, whether people are aware of that or not, doesn't mean that my daughter, in this example, can challenge people on that, especially when it's not necessarily relevant to the subject at hand. It's like, appreciate and understand that other people have beliefs, and just because you know the origins of this nonsense doesn't mean that you need to challenge others at the drop of a hat. And that's kind of, when I'm telling my audience, well, I don't necessarily concern myself with correcting people on heliocentric nonsense when I'm out on there in the real world, because everyone's entitled to their belief, unless they're challenging me, which is highly unlikely. Why would I want to correct them on their belief about gravity in this instance? For the purposes of dripping paint down a page, the Western world culture uses the word when anything goes down, gravity. Okay, you can accept that and understand what someone means when they use that word, and also appreciate that you've only got to glance up at the clouds to know that that isn't the case, that there's not a force holding everything down, precisely as described by the art teacher. And it's not always necessary to challenge these things, because why would you? Is it going to ruin that person's day? Good chance if you get into an extended debate about it. Is it worthy of the art in this case to challenge the fact that if you release a balloon up the art page, how is that relevant? Anyway, gravity, we do understand it, and we've got a better understanding and grasp, especially you and people like Sleeping Warrior especially, have got exemplary understandings of the origins of gravity. And what does that help us? Well, it helps us perhaps educate somebody who's ultimately going to still reify their globe faith, regardless of you explaining how it's conceptual, for example. They're still going to reify it into a force that's not a force that you can think of as a force, by whatever acrobatics mentally that they need to perform to keep hold of their religion. That religion being that they're standing on a sphere, which I feel should be respected, even if we have got exemplary and advanced understanding of how that religion comes to pass with respect to its flat earth origins. We should still be respectful of people who don't know that, and perhaps ease them into that
keep
knowledge.
Everybody in the dark, right, Nathan?
No, I'm saying we should ease them in. You just cut me off 2 seconds too soon. We should ease them into that exemplary understanding of how Earth is measured flat. I'm not saying we should come as a wolf in sheep's clothing, but based on the fact that we know where the origins of the heliocentric model lie, who actually created them, why they were put into effect or useful, or how they had a practical application, and how that practical application in terms of the measurement of Earth comes with a flat Earth prerequisite. Now, understanding that, you can rephrase it in such a manner that will not necessarily trigger your average heliocentric, unconsciously or consciously aware of their religion person from their, belief. You just have to take them further into the steps of their origin without necessarily telling them that they're wrong. They'll come to that realization themselves if you give them the more in-depth understanding of where their religion starts and what it was used for. You'd have to say, you're wrong, we're not standing on a sphere, even though we aren't and they are wrong. You can say, how do you know where that idea originates? They're a lot less careful with us. Where's your flat earth belief coming from? Well, do you know where your understanding of that concept comes from? It's a lot more gentle if you then take them through the process of where the measurements of the stars give you a celestial sphere. Because that's where their origins lie, right? Why not just tell them? You have to tell them it's flat.
To a normal person, you might want to correct them and say, no, you don't believe it's falling down, you believe it's falling in. But that doesn't really work with the description she was giving of the painting, does it?
No, it was going down with respect to... In fact, that's what she went on to say immediately afterwards. She says, which way will the paint go? Is it horizontally or vertically? Now, they're all 6 and 7, and some of them are 5 in this class. So Eleanor immediately gets it wrong. Oh, it's going horizontally. No, it's going vertically. You're like, okay, so when we actually get down to the nitty-gritty of the concepts and the orientations, we're describing things with respect to horizontal and vertical, aren't we? That's what it really boils down to. But if you're going to tie them to their faith, if you're going to say gravity, okay, regardless of your misapprehensions, if they are heliocentric and Einsteinian, or if they're force-based and Newtonian, you can appreciate that the purpose of this force is to keep you on a spinning ball that isn't going to give you any useful information with respect to orientation. So when you actually come to describe down, it's useless when you come to it within a ball concept. And to describe it like the ball itself, you're going to have to start with flat earth concepts to get to the description, to hold you to the ball that's been reified out of flat earth measurements. So it's a constant hijacking of things in reality that you can actually measure horizontal, vertical, with respect to the plane, the horizon, whatever you're going to use, level. And then you go, well, how does that translate to the ball? It doesn't in any way, shape or form. And how you'll be functionally operating here will be with respect to a plane or 90 degrees to it.
So
Fascinating
which
stuff.
gravity are you talking about there, Nathan?
Was that this repetition as though you're hinting that I hadn't actually answered you? I think I did.
Yeah.
I did answer you. Depends on the person. Most people think
Well,
it's a force. It isn't currently. It's a non-force of bent space-time.
well, the thing that debunks the claim of it being a force of down is buoyancy. Yeah, buoyancy is the thing they had to hijack and say was caused by things going down. So things going down cause things to go up. That's what they had to claim. That's that because but that wasn't Isaac Newton. He never referenced Archimedes' principle. So other people came up with that nonsense, not Isaac Newton. So unless they can at least show it to us in the Principia Mathematica, if they can't do that, and they can't, then they're just making stuff up on the spot.
Isaac Newton did refer to an inertial plane with respect to up and down.
Yeah, but that's not buoyancy, is it? He didn't refer to Archimedes' principle.
No,
The
that's
thing
not.
that debunked what
That's not what he's saying.
turned his.
That's
I
not
know
what he's
what
saying.
he's
It's
saying.
not. That's
I know
not the
what
point
he's
he's
saying. I
addressing.
know what he's saying. I know what he's saying.
Okay.
My point being is, he didn't refer to Archimedes' principle. The thing that debunks what they turned his Isaac Newton's works into. So yes, he did refer to an inertial plane in respect of up and down. I agree.
This must frustrate you to all hell, right, Brian? You're getting down to the intricacies and nitty gritty, and the moment me or John see a flat plane being used, we're like, stop! And you're like, no, there's more to this. Yeah, you're right, there is. But he's going to need a flat Earth for it, isn't he?
Yes, but there's a danger of if that's done too much, it comes across as obsession to an audience member who may be new. They hear it too much. They might go,
I agree.
What's this
I
about?
completely agree. You've got to caveat it, because if people just pick up on the halting of the discussion because there's been a flat plane utilised, which is often, then people don't get to the point where if somebody brings up an aspect beyond their hijacking and use of a flat plane, or don't mention it at all, they just move one step beyond it and start describing stuff that's already in existence in heliocentrism derived from the flat plane, then the person who hasn't heard that explanation from within heliocentrism doesn't know their route back to the flat plane to make that assertion. So we've got to have the discussions. But for a cursory viewer, once they hear the connection, as long as the connection is clear to how, in this instance, for a directional downward vector for Newton, he needs a flat plane to reference. And he does. Well, that's no surprise, but now that the full connection's been made, obviously it's still worthy of your full description within their plane of reference for the direction and orientation that takes the entirety, which is the concept of buoyancy, or what we more accurately describe as relative density, or the disequilibrium in relative density if something's moving in a vector, and then ascribe gravity to the downward aspect in a given medium, and then say that if something's going up, It's because we've got the force of the down, and we'll call the up bit the overall concept that's been used originally, which is buoyancy. So, yeah, once you know the trick, you can see the cards moving in the magician's hand, right, Brian?
Well, the real trick is the weight. Weight is the concept. Because weight is only an apparent effect of buoyancy. Buoyancy you can describe and show, right? Weight, you can show weight as long as the medium allows it. Do you know what I mean? I can't show someone the weight of an anvil in the medium of mercury. Yet I drop that anvil on their foot in air and they're going to have probably permanent damage to their foot. But in mercury, their foot can be at the bottom of the thing of mercury and the anvil won't be touching it.
I've seen what happens
So
when someone drops an anvil onto someone's foot. What happens is all four paws get really, really flat, and then they bulge up and pulse red. No.
Was it an Acme anvil?
It was an Acme anvil. That's what I was waiting for. Right, should we cover a bit more? We haven't even started yet. Let's cover, not the quantum mechanics one, this one. Okay, so this video is called Answering Mark Sargent's Dumb Science Questions. Well, we'll be the judge of how dumb his science questions are. But nevertheless, let this guy know he is called Real Nuclear Physicist. Let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a pleasant comment. If you're going to go beyond actually just letting him know that I've sent you in his direction. The motivation for doing this, as he may be responding to this, if he is, hopefully he'll put a link to our video. That's the purpose of us sharing the YouTube algorithmic love with you from our meager audience that definitely doesn't receive any algorithmic love from YouTube. So were this gentleman to respond to us, we would hope he'd put a link to our video. In the meantime, as you can see going by in the live stream chat right now, and hopefully with a little bit of waffle from me, giving people enough time to actually go and do this, go and let me know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And just let him know that we've covered his video, and hopefully he'll join us for a response. We don't know. I'm cold. I don't know if this is going to be good
When
or
you
not.
say,
Go on.
when you say pleasant comment, so that I can't start out with, yo, moron. Do you even know what science is? Would that be pleasant?
Well, my call to action is just to let the audience know, to let him know that I sent them to him. That's it. You know, verbally on the show is obviously better than just me leaving a comment underneath, me posting the link as the live stream's going by, and literally calling people to action to do it right now. That is to say, go and do this now. I'll keep chatting about him and getting us to go to him while you're going to him to say, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me and he responded to your video, or at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me because they've watched 10 minutes of what we're about to do and he's suggesting that you don't understand X. You know, it's pleasant enough to not get immediately removed by the videographer. If you go, oi moron, you think you lived on a reified sphere? Well, it was measured flat. You're going to get your comment removed immediately, aren't you? Well, I don't know that's the case. Some people are a lot more tolerable. My tolerance level for crap like that is very, very high, and a lot of stuff I let slide. As long as it's got a vague similarity to the debating point that's in the video, I'll let it slide most of the time. Some people like that.
I sent you...
Go on, Brian.
Apologies. I sent you one of this guy's videos there some while back, and I posted it in Master B. I'm pretty sure I sent it to you and posted it in Master B. He is, you know, before you play the video, you know what you're dealing with. Real nuclear physicist. That means if you look at him, he looks like he's about 19, right? Maybe 22. So how long has he been working as a nuclear physicist? He might have passed his university exams, but he's not really a nuclear physicist. He hasn't really been working as one, maybe, for any length of time.
How do you know?
The point being is that, well, I don't know. I'm just saying by his age, he doesn't look like he's been a long term. By the look of him, he doesn't look like, but it doesn't matter. The point being is that he's coming at this topic with the title of his YouTube channel, Real Nuclear Physicist. So he's straight away leaning on an education. And he's supposed to be right because he has this education. So that's what you're dealing with. Don't expect, what I mean is that he's a real nuclear physicist, but don't expect a genius.
I don't know how it's going to help him in this discussion. I mean, is there some connection between nuclear physics and ball belief? I don't see how's this going to help him. I mean, it's his channel name, so it's not really going to change. Presumably, his other content's not about this, right? But in terms of talking about Mark Sargent, I suppose he's tied it in because we've got some science questions being alleged from Mark. So there's a good chance, maybe let Mark know, because there's a fair chance we'll be critiquing Mark as well. Sorry, Mark. Oops. Right, let's get into this. I haven't actually sound checked this one. I did the other one. Hopefully this doesn't blast everyone's eardrums.
Today, we'll be taking on 5 questions that Mark Sargent sent a scientist.
Is that my sound, or has he got a bit of a speech impediment?
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Heinrich and I'm the real nuclear physicist.
Oh, it's an accent. Okay.
Today's video, we'll be taking a look at Mark Sargent's 2018 Flat Earth Conference opening speech, where he claimed
This was only done a month ago. I mean, Mark has got a very sort of set repertoire that gets subtly adjusted over time. But for the most part, you could take almost any of his interviews that were done yesterday and they'd be comparable to this. Why take something from 2018? I don't get it.
that he sent 5 science-based questions to a scientist and they refused to answer.
Okay,
Some
fair
months
enough.
ago, a German television team contacted me because they had heard about my science challenge and had found a physicist at Georgetown University I could debate.
Let's start there. I highly doubt that anybody
Was that a question? I thought you were going to talk about the questions that he was asking within. Oh, okay. Fine.
from a university would contact a flat earther saying that they found a physicist willing to take on your challenge in a debate. I think rather you sent them an email and said, I'm looking for a scientist. Yes.
What? Sorry, is this your standard? I mean, maybe ask Mark about why he said it in that way, and maybe you'd find out that he sent an email or was proactively contacted. But you don't know. You haven't got a clue either way. It's just purely your speculation.
It's 5 questions. I want them to answer. Please.
Go on, John.
Right. Well, we can say that why would a nuclear physicist respond to Mark Sargent? Nuclear physicist? Really?
I just picked up on that. Oh, the irony.
Just debunking his own standard.
Yes, exactly. Didn't pick up on that. Yeah, well done, John.
Have them answer and get back to me. Any scientist won't debate something that's already established fact. Debates are for opinions, and it's usually 2 sides of an opinion. You don't debate something that's already proven, because then there's no need for a debate.
They also wanted to make it as easy on the scientist as possible, so their idea was simple. They would record me on video, reading 5 quick science-based questions, and then send that recording over to Georgetown, and he would respond in kind.
Well, there you have it. That's also not a debate. Sending somebody 5 questions and having them answer is not a debate, that's a response. Rather say you requested a response from a scientist rather than saying that a university contacted you to debate a scientist.
This is what I read on camera.
Hang on,
1.
Nathan.
Long-distance photography. The mainstream science...
Did you,
Sorry.
Brian?
Yeah, hang on now a minute. So this guy has decided what actually happened was blah, 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 without any evidence for it. Because he's looking down his nose at Mark Sargent and looking up at a scientist guy, thinking, there's no way this great person here in a university would ever be interested in addressing any of the questions of some stupid flat earther.
Really, Brian?
So
Really?
that means the stupid flat earther is a liar.
Really? You going to really come up with this?
Me? I don't have to. That's what he's after doing.
Yeah.
Listen to it again.
And on a completely different note, I don't think this guy's a nuclear physicist, right, Brian?
No, I don't care whether he is or isn't. The point is that he's after implying that no scientist would be interested. Why would a scientist be interested in debating this flat earther guy? I guarantee I'm right. I guarantee it. I guarantee you. Listen on. You'll owe me an apology.
Hello, Adam.
Science formula for the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared.
Okay. Well, sorry, Mark. That's not a science question. That's a maths question. So you're putting maths questions to a scientist. When you're talking about long-distance photography and then comparing it to Earth curve maths a la Black Swan, admittedly, this is 2018, right? So, sorry, this seems like an unreasonable standard to critique Mark in 2018, pre-Black Swan, for what is now post-Black Swan response. But you're going to be comparing Earth curve maths based on their assumption of radial values derived from flat Earth. Okay, fine. That's definitely not science, though. That's mathematics. Why is this being put to a scientist? Let's see if this guy spots that this is not a science question.
That formula isn't quite accurate at all.
So why would you have anything to do with physics in your title for your channel? You don't know what physics is. Formula's wrong. Physics is dealing with the physical and natural world, though. Physics. This is maths. So your first critique of Mark isn't that this isn't science, because it isn't. You'd expect you to know that, given that you've got a suggestive scientific title in your YouTube channel.
It's a parabola. And even if the Earth is not a sphere, it's definitely not a parabola. Let's derive a formula that's a bit more accurate. Let's start with Earth having a radius of 6,400 kilometers.
Where'd you get that? Let's start with it. Start by begging the question that Earth's got a radial value that's spherical. But that's a begging the question fallacy right out on its face, isn't it? Meanwhile, we know where your radial value came from. Elevation angle measurements to Polaris at their minimum, to give you something you call the equator. That's an area of equal elevation, a circle of equal altitude, using Polaris. That's a flat Earth that gives you that radial value. Has to be, because it's an angle measurement to Polaris. But that's your starting point. Not, let's just assume we've got a spherical radial value. No, let's start by measuring something to get that radial value. Oh, what will we measure? Well, we will measure a flat Earth for your presuppositional mathematics. This isn't science. Why am I pointing that out and you're not?
Sorry, I'm not going to do the miles conversion for you. With that radius, Earth has a circumference of 40,000 kilometers. This 40,000 kilometers means that 1 kilometer covers an angle of about 0.009 degrees.
Whoa. Sorry. If 1 mile, that's a mile on the surface, is representative of an angle representation, then you'll need the surface to give you an angle. What's this numpty done? He's immediately taken the angle to the centre of Earth with a radial value, because you can't get an angle from the surface to describe elevation angle changes with respect to a horizon, but that's what he's actually describing. So what we've got on screen is in real time now for my audience, his explanation for how flat Earth elevation angle measurements can be hijacked and turned into the protractor of a globe Earth.
Using these values, we can calculate a height formula from the point where you stand as h, which is your height, is equal to r, the radius of the Earth.
But your height isn't with respect to the radius of Earth. Look it up, stupid idiot. Height is with respect to sea level. Level. When we actually get our elevations, they're with respect to the surface, not with respect to a radial value. Because the radial value came from the surface and the minimum elevation angle measurement to Polaris. This is absurd. You don't even know your own rhetoric. And by rhetoric, I mean maths. Because this is definitely not physics. Why am I having to point that out to you while you do a load of maths?
Times 1 minus the cosine of the angle between you and your point. However,
the angle between you and your point? What's he babbling about?
This equation is still not 100% accurate, as it does not take into account the viewer height or the refraction, but still more accurate than 8 inches per mile squared.
Refraction.
An easy
Sorry. For a start, 8 inches per mile squared is not a parabola, number one. Number two, he just said that's not precise, the 8 inches per mile squared. Grant, I agree, Adam even showed it. And then he went on to show another not precise function. And then he brought in refraction. What has refraction got to do with geometry?
Nothing.
What has it got to do with geometry? Nothing. So why is he trying to add
What's
in
love
refraction?
got to do with it, man?
Yes. Hello, chocolate.
Did you say what's love got to do with it?
That's how I felt. I felt the same way as Brian. Like, oh, look how refraction stuck its face into his little speech.
Yeah.
Wonderful, isn't it?
He needs to start bringing in refraction, which is not refraction, just mathematical refraction claims based off an R value that he's using that was never measured and can't be because of the mathematical refractive claims that get in the way of you ever measuring it. Do you know what I mean? And he needs to do that so he can bring the horizon up to the point where it will be in reality. And while his geometric globe edge will be somewhere underneath surface level as a horizontal plane.
Right, should we hear Mark's next question?
easy comparison would be the falling rate of 32 feet per second. So 8 inches per mile per mile. 2 miles is 2 times 2 equals 4 times 8 inches, or 32. 3 miles is 3 times 3 equals 9 times 8.
Can you hear him rattling off a load of times signs? Yeah? That's maths. If you're not familiar with maths, listen to what Mark's saying. This is maths.
Or 72, and so on.
So on and so forth. Yes, I understand what you're trying to say, but it's still a parabola.
No, it's a squared function. Nevertheless, it's your squared function. It's not Mark's. Why are you telling Mark that he's got your claim wrong? Right? It's not an argument about whether or not your version of a claim to be point of dissolution in the distance derived from a flat Earth measurement of a surface level versus eye level infers that you've got a physical geometric sphere edge capable of measurement by Al-Biruni after he gets the height of mountains off a flat plane. Because that's where you'll need to get to your starting point. You said we'll just start with the radial value for a sphere Earth. That was your begging the question assumption. Now you're critiquing Mark for his paraphrasing of your version of your globe Earth maths that gives you 8 inches per the mile squared, as Mark just described, and critiquing him. It's very Simon Dan-esque. You're on the edge of telling Dan, telling me like Dan did, that my reference frames are ruined. They're only reference frames. Mark Sargent doesn't have a parabola. These aren't his maths, but you're critiquing him like they're his maths, like he's got your maths wrong. This is very much what they lay down if you go and do even modicum of research to try and infer that you've got a physical geometric sphere edge. 8 inches per mile squared is what you'll be thrown. You don't have to like it. You don't have to tell Mark he's wrong because of the standard, well-known bullshit claim of a globe Earth edge in physical geometric terms and where it's proposed to be placed at 8 inches per mile squared. That's not Mark's claim. Further to that, we've already debunked this claim in 2020 with the Black Swan. I wonder why he dropped refraction in there, right, Brian? Preempting something that he probably well knows, as this video only came out a month ago. Black Swan, mate. You haven't got a geometric sphere edge. To measure geometry from? What's that refraction? Nothing to do with geometry, then.
For accurate measurements of the hidden
Funny
eye,
though
just
how
use
he started with that, right? But others claim that that's a straw man. The Earth being a sphere of with a radius 39, 59 miles. That's a straw man according to some people. But this guy starts with that out the gate.
Yeah, they don't know how to reverse the burden properly, so they start telling us that we're claiming their claim wrong. That's what they like to do. Go on, Brian.
It's an attempt at character assassination. That's what he's doing. It's a weak attempt at the assassination of Mark Sargent's character. He's saying that Mark Sargent has an incorrect function, but then he turns around and gives everyone an incorrect function that he has to admit is incorrect. And like non-precise. It's like, what point are you making here, buddy? You just did exactly what Mark Sargent did, and Mark Sargent did a better job of it. So weary of them with this.
Yeah, but Mark Sargent did what? A better representation of the globe Earth maths?
It's an online calculator. There's quite a few of them. They take into account refraction as well as viewer height.
At 50 miles, the curvature is 50 times 50.
Viewer height is with respect to a horizontal plane of reference, though. It's with respect to sea level. When you say these globe Earth mathematics that are online that you can easily access, take into account viewer height, what, with respect to surface level? Yeah, your height in
And
feet
refraction.
above surface level is sea level that they'll be referencing, so you'll need a flat Earth for your height. Go ahead.
Oh, he said viewer height and refraction. Do they take refraction into account?
When in a perspective view that uses a derivation of an R value measured off a flat plane to give you a 7/6 straightening out of the ball that's got nothing to do with the way the light moves. No, mathematically they're increasing the size of the ball with 7/6 of a radius value taken from a flat Earth measurement, Chocolate.
Oh, okay, because it sounds like he said refraction. That doesn't sound like refraction to me.
Again, he doesn't understand the language. Terrestrial refraction is what he'll be appealing to. Terrestrial refraction being 7/6 of a radius value in sphere-Earth geometry that is inferred in Earth curve mathematics. After the derivation of the geometry itself, which is incapable of, as Brian pointed out moments earlier, if you're refracting geometry, you're not doing geometry anymore. So when you just tell us to take as read your radial value, oh, how do you acquire it? Well, we already covered that, didn't we? Off a flat Earth.
Times 8, coming in at over
And
1600.
Thomas Andrew Young showed that. He required a flat plane as well.
Yeah, they all do.
100 feet of curvature. And yet, with HD cameras, we can pull boats back into frame that are well beyond visual range.
Yes, you can pull boats back into view that hasn't gone over the horizon yet.
Boats going over the horizon was debunked in 2020. Your appeal to a physical hill for boats to go over. You don't have one. Black Swan.
Mark Sargent just said, he said, boats that have gone outside a visible view. That means they've gone to a diffraction point. That is an horizon. Do you know what I mean? It's like they've reached a point where you can't see them anymore.
You mean the same one that was used as the brainwash of why we live on a ball? That the same optical phenomenon that convinced us that we lived on a ball is what he's using right now? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, he's using
he's using
a claimed mathematical point below surface level, marked with an X and labelled horizon, and inferred to be a hill blocking your view in the Earth curve mathematics. However, to derive that inference of a hill getting in your way for a boat to go over, to then zoom back in on it, and then you can watch it go over the hill again. No, if hills get in the way of things, and that's what the horizons claim to be, then once they go over that hill, the hill's physically in the way of them. But no, we can zoom back in, ergo, it hadn't already gone over the hill. You're like, in your mathematics, there is no optical resolution limit in your Earth curve maths. Everything stays the same feet and inches value. Go ahead, Chocolate.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the okie doke. So what is it? When do they decide what has gone over the curve, in quotes, and what has just disappeared into the horizon, like he's trying to use? So what, when it's capable of being brought back, oh, it hasn't gone over the curve, it's just disappeared into the horizon. But if you can't bring it back, oh, that's over the Earth curve, the physical Earth curve?
For them, there is no former. So there is only one assertion for things disappearing in Earth curve mathematics. Earth curve. Nothing disappears for any other reason. It's the only reason things can disappear. So if you take the Earth curve maths and have a measured distance at 6 miles, and you've got a little dinghy that's vanished. You look out to the horizon, you can't see the dinghy, it's gone. Okay, let's go to the Earth curve maths. Why is the dinghy gone? Because there's a hill in the way of the dinghy. Earth curve's got in the way. How do you know? Well, because if we measure the differential between surface level and eye level, we can infer this point in orthographic maths when we retain actual size at distance. So the 6 foot dinghy is 6 foot at 6 miles and will be 6 foot at 6 million miles and 6 foot at 6 billion miles. It's always 6 foot. Now, if I, by scale, put the dinghy in view and write on the line between the observer and the dinghy 6 million miles, that's perfectly acceptable in that view. Nothing will ever disappear, ever, because of its size. Because it's still just 6 foot and I can draw a line between the two things, right? So when something disappears in Earth curve maths and it's before Earth curve, why is it disappearing? Earth curve maths has no explanation. There's only one cause, Earth curve. So when they do the okie doke and say, well, that's just because it's not already gone over Earth curve. What do you mean it's not already gone over Earth curve? The only reason things disappear in your Earth curve maths that's hijacked flat surface level and parallel eye level with it to claim there's an Earth curve is Earth curve. That's the only thing you can infer. So when stuff disappears prior to that, what are you going to say? It's because it's too small. It's still 6 foot. It doesn't change with distance in orthographic view. You've taken the effects of perspective, removed them from the mathematics, and called them Earth curve. It's a hijacking of perspective. Hence, there is no optical resolution. Famously, infamously, when we had Kosho on 24/7, being asked this question, why is the bottom of this toy boat at 500 yards disappearing when there's no Earth curve yet? Oh, well, it's the optical resolution being too small. It's just the bottom being blocked by the minimum angle. It's like, no. That isn't the effect in Earth curve maths. There is no angle reduction. It's a 5-inch boat at all distances. So when Kosho told us it's because of the angular resolution, it's like, yeah, that's what happens at the distances. And you can bring these things back by increasing your focal length, giving yourself a bigger lens. Yeah, then it comes back. Yeah, because it's gone out into the distance, and for your eye, you can't resolve the angle anymore. So therefore, Earth curve got in the way. No. Resolution. Everything to do with the minimum angle. But that's not described when the boat is 6 foot at all distances. It removes all aspects of perspective. He just doesn't know that. Was there someone else who wanted to get in on that action before I play again?
No, I just wanted to point out that little trick that he does, and that they all do. It's it's really just, if it could be brought back, it's not over the curve. But if it can't, that's just over the curve. They could just decide which one they want to go with, depending on who they're talking to and what's the question being asked. It's very cute.
Image of boat.
Whichever.
You'll never be able.
Nathan? Sorry, I to get in there just at the end of John.
Yeah, guys.
What this guy is not understanding, right, is that if he was asked where's the boat gone, he'd just say it's gone over the curve until someone showed him a video of it being brought back in to view. Now,
Exactly my point.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. This guy will be just saying that's our curve. It's gone over the curve until he's shown it being brought back into view. Then it's like, well, it hasn't gone over our curve yet. It's like, well, you were 100% sure it went over this our curve of yours. You know, the thing is you're talking about that is remember refraction you were bringing up earlier. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the next step beyond that is
refractive blockage.
I was about to say the next step beyond that is the item is way beyond like Chicago skyline. Well, then the item is a mirage. It's not really there. You're not really seeing it. That's the next step. Then beyond that, you've got, well, what if the item is visible and the Earth curve that's supposed to block it that you formerly said was refracting the item up to the horizon, that's Chicago skyline. What happens if the horizon itself is beyond the things it's supposed to be blocking? Oh, well, then not only is the item refracted, but the horizon itself is then refracted also. Beyond the thing it's supposed to block.
It's being projected up like the bat signal over the curve to look like a flat horizontal thing.
But surface level is intrinsic to Earth curve mathematics. Surface level is a horizontal plane in those mathematics. The definition of horizon is where surface level appears to meet the sky. How is this helping him?
It's not. We didn't know that in 2015 when we argued, to the point where it was to our detriment to even enter into a discussion that included their Earth curve maths. Almost called it our Earth curve maths. But it back then wasn't. It was theirs. Now it isn't. We understand what the Earth curve maths is and its origins, where it came from. Optical resolution loss back in the 1800s for seamen. That's what it was used for. Then it turned into Earth curve maths. But the process of actually measuring for Earth curve maths requires a surface level as just described by refracted curvature. It requires you calculating a differential between surface level and eye level. Eye level must run parallel, and does in their maths. What does it run parallel to? That level, straight line for eye level, not bend, just to make that absolutely clear at this stage. It runs parallel to the surface level. That's where the maths begins. So you can infer the point of optical resolution loss is actually something that retains its actual size at all distances in an orthographic maths, is being blocked by a point below the surface level. Absurd. Not the case. But ultimately originating in a flat Earth measurement. So how does Earth curve maths help you assert we've got Earth curve? Beyond the title on the front of the book, Earth curve maths, it doesn't. Because it requires Earth to be measured flat. Like everything, all roads lead to a flat Earth. Earth is being measured flat with surface level in Earth curve maths. So beyond the retitling of what it actually functions as, an optical resolution calculator, or does it prove Earth's a sphere? No, it's just on the title. Like GPS or anything else that's got the word global in it. Global Earth curve maths does not prove Earth is a sphere. It requires we measure Earth flat. Like everything. Bit more video? Anyone else?
Just a side, just a side note. A big thanks to refracted curvature, because the emphasis on the plane of reference that they require, for me personally, has been the sharpest tool in my armory when talking about this to people. The elevation angle is great, the black swan is, but they always want to go past that, and wherever they go, they're going to require a plane of reference. So a big up to refracted curvature for that. The last 12
Sharpest
months,
tool in your arsenal.
emphasising
I've based my entire year on it. I've claimed it as my own and said it's my year. Earth's measured flat. It is. They need it more than we do, and I've even stolen John's quote. It should be the year of refracted curvature, really. I've just totally stolen it, and he's been humble enough to not mention it. But I even use his quote, "You guys need a flat plane more than we do." Because they do. That's where it all begins. That's where the measurements start. Anybody else? Anybody else? We can start a bit more of this video.
To
Yeah,
pull
but they
that
don't know
back into
that.
view, no
they
matter
don't.
how far you zoom in.
Not only does the new technology clearly show that it's not a mirage, but the same objects can be
Go
viewed
back
in
on that a
infrared
second.
and can be
Which bit? Him or
The
Mark?
bat who we missed when Neil shouted in.
It hasn't gone over the horizon yet. This image of the boat, you'll never be able to pull that back into view, no matter how far you zoom in.
Not only does the new technology clearly show that it's not a mirage, but the same
Was he
objects
just
can be
showing-
viewed in infrared.
Yeah, was he just showing an image of a boat supposedly behind a geometric horizon?
Yes. He's obviously picked this because he can cherry pick out some crappy old 2015 refutations from the globe side. Yeah? I say the horizon's Earth curve. Okay. Here's a picture of a horizon. Okay.
Earlier on, he was referring to refraction.
Why isn't everything looming up behind this horizon that he's presenting today? I would make a suggestion that the horizon today, he's claiming horizon, is actually a physical thing obstructing his line of view, i.e. it's a wave. You can see it swelling the thing. There's a reason things can't loom above it. And that's because there is actually a physical obstruction blocking your view. Something that doesn't happen in theirs, and they mitigate for why you don't see the physical obstruction obstructing things when it's Earth curve that's obstructing it at greater distances, yeah? But there, physical thing. So I would ask this guy, why then is everything else not looming up above with respect, which is what happens in all the other images when we see too far, according to them.
I'd just say black swan.
Yeah, but that's what they're going to try and do, isn't it? Look, today we've got a white swan. That's what he's trying to point out there. And I would say, yeah, lovely. White swan being, there is actually something physically blocking my view. There is a swell of the wave. There is physically something there, yeah? As opposed to what they claimed before, which is something not, or something being physically there, but then refracting down and everything else above, looming up above to give the appearance of a flat plane.
How far you zoom in.
Not only does the new technology clearly show that it's not a mirage, but the same objects can be viewed in infrared and can be targeted ship to ship by beam radar. Can science explain this?
Yeah, again, I think I've actually spoken to Mark personally.
Why would science?
I was just about to say, I think I've actually had discussions with Mark personally since this, like in 2018, about science, what it is and what he means. And I don't think, Mark's refined his discussion points since this particular 2018 address. So I don't know why he's cherry-picked this particular out. Maybe it's just because he sees it as low-hanging fruit.
The thing is,
but we know what he's saying, right? Sorry, Adam. Go ahead, man.
You go first, bud.
How you doing, brother?
Yeah, not bad, talk, you.
Yeah, Mark.
Hanging in.
I'll
meet and greet hour?
Yeah, well, except to you. We don't want to say hello to you. The point I make there, it's right. We'll critique Mark there for the use of that word, but there's only us that will critique it. Your rank and file baller will have no idea why we're turning our nose up at that point or having an issue with it. I wouldn't worry too much. And fundamentally, if any baller that would then like to bring that up as a critique, I'd welcome them for them to sarcastically define the term science, what it does and doesn't mean. That'll be useful in the debate going forward, wouldn't it? No.
The reason, and I'll keep it brief, that we've been harsh on Mark, and it seems unfair. That's why I'm a stuttering, stammering mess over these words about Mark, because I've had the discussion with him personally about what science is. I've had it with loads of people. Mark's not the only one. Now, maybe I should drop this in now, maybe I shouldn't. But when I tried to have the same exact conversation with David Weiss, he cut me down, wouldn't refuse to have the conversation, ended it abruptly. Very weird. Anyway, like I say, I've had the conversation with him. Mark doesn't necessarily make these what we would call mistakes, because they are, in terms of what science would be capable of being asked. That's a reification fallacy. In terms of what it deals with, that's cause and effect reasoning based on observed natural phenomena. These things are more prevalent in this community now. But from this guy's point of view, why isn't he pointing any of this out? If he's claiming to have science acumen and leaning on his scientific education or employment history in the title of his video, or the name of his video, or the name of his channel, sorry, why isn't he pointing it out? This isn't science. Zooming in too much. How does science explain that? Science doesn't explain that. It explains cause and effect. Go ahead.
No, but science does to them. That's what I'm saying. There's no way the vernacular he's using that we find objectionable, a baller will even pick up, because to pick it up, you've got to have your proper definition of science and take issue when people don't use the proper definition and go pseudoscience-y and claim it. That's way beyond his level of discernment at the moment. He wouldn't be able to realise that science doesn't say anything. Yeah? Wouldn't understand why we would object to that phrase.
Or doesn't explain why a piece of technology allows you to zoom in better. That's not explained by science. That's not within the purview of the scientific inquiry method.
Maybe it's just me, but when I hear him say that, I don't hear him really point, like, yeah, he's used the use of the word in that context maybe is a little off, but I don't hear him saying science really. I hear him saying, like, the quote science community, like the Neil deGrasse's, the Michio Kaku's, whoever claims to be the mainstream science community leaders. I think that's who he's pointing out to.
Yeah.
Right.
What he means is, how do the heliocentric priests explain this one? That's what he's really saying. But because they call it science, because they have, and at this stage of Mark's flat Earth endeavours, also was under the misapprehensions that science was a group of people like Tyson. And it's like, no, that's not science. Science is a method. But Mark knows that now. Like I say, this guy's just picking at low-hanging fruit. Wants to serve his ends for the purposes of this video, and what he wants to object to, Mark's got concisely summarised in this 2018 address. So that's what he's used. But as Adam pointed out, we would know that this doesn't fall in the category of science. And if you're going to claim science acumen or education or employment history, you should be pointing that out. But he doesn't know either, does he?
They had no answer.
Yes, science can explain this.
Science can explain the technology of cameras zooming in. Well, number one, this is outside the science purview because it's not within the method of observing natural phenomena. Seeing things through a zoom camera reappear, that's not an observed natural phenomena. Far from it. Furthermore, what you've just appealed to explain this non-phenomena is Earth curve mathematics. You've said hills get in the way. Black swan. No, they don't. We debunked Earth curve in 2020.
And in fact, science was used to create this.
Science wasn't used to create the cameras or the view or the non-phenomena. This has nothing to do with science. This guy's a clown.
Now, beam radars projected in a conical shape with most.
What? Sorry, this guy doesn't know what science is. I don't know. Should I keep repeating it? Adam, rein me in.
Well, just let him make his claim, because that is the purpose of what I'm saying. If you don't know what science is yourself, why is he critiquing Mark? That's why, and this is why I wouldn't worry about what Mark does. He's a frontline salesman that gets people interested. It frustrates me when Mark gets critiqued a lot, because he's not out there doing anything different than what he did. And if all they've got to attack him is that, which is frankly showing their ignorance, I've got no criticism of Mark Sargent really in that sense. This guy, though, complete. Like I say, it's demonstrating that they don't know what science is. And he's doing an admirable job.
Of the energy at the center of the cone. This cone is projected towards the ionosphere, and it gets reflected to cover larger and larger distances.
He doesn't understand the beam radar that Mark is talking about.
No, he doesn't.
He's talking about the pendle beam radar. It's his line of sight.
Correct. So about 2 years before Mark did this, he had interviewed somebody who described how the pencil radar is literally painting the target 30 plus, or I can't remember the numbers, and I'll get told off if I even attempt them.
50 miles. 50 nautical, 60 miles, 60 miles, 50 nautical.
60 miles away. Well beyond.
He claims 50, doesn't he? QE if you ask QE, he'll say it's a lot more than that. But in terms of official stuff, what they can claim is 50, I think.
Right. So he's interviewed somebody, and the person who he's interviewing has worked with this pencil beam radar for the Type 2 Sea Sparrow. And what he's done is explain to Mark, in the official available to the public information about this particular weapon system, you can, quote, paint a target 60 miles away. That is to say, you, whatever you are, 30, 40, 50 feet above the waves, are firing out a beam that literally hits the target so that you can keep that laser beam or whatever it is on the target as the missile hones in on the target, right? Well, that means that you must have direct line of sight with the target. There is no hill getting in the way, and that's what Mark's referring to. This guy's just heard the word radar. That's all he's heard. It's like, no, that's not what he's talking about. But he's not even bothered to do his due diligence on what Mark's talking about in this address. He's just bleeding lazy.
May I address what radar actually does?
Yeah, go on. Let's hear it from John. Might as well prove we're on a flat plane with this, because it does.
Right. You level a radar, and it takes an angle of incident of light, which is an angle measurement with respect to a plane of reference. So how is radar helping a ball-tard?
It isn't. Yeah, I like that. I use it as my permanent background if I need some motion on screen. I've just got my what I call radar screen. Yeah, it's about as good as it gets in terms of flat Earth proof, as far as I'm concerned. You know, in terms of if you want to appeal to technology. Or then again, we're getting far more down to the nitty gritty of just how maps function at the moment, aren't we? You need a flat Earth for a compass. We have a radar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get on a bit more.
Number 2, vacuum versus gravity. The force of a vacuum is measured in units of torr, T-O-R-R.
Now, vacuum force is a force proportional to the volume.
What? There is no vacuum
Volume.
force. What's he talking about? Furthermore, volume? You mean the area? The area that the gas is capable of filling? That's what you'd be describing it with. And how many molecules you've got and the amount of force that they will exert in a given area, arbitrarily described in the mathematics of vacuums, is what will define it, not the vacuum itself.
That is evacuated. Whereas torr is a unit of pressure, not
Meanwhile, gas-filled spaces, that's what it does. You're debunking the sky vacuum by affirming any of this.
force.
He's
Even a
at
low-level
present trying
vacuum.
to convolute things. Listen to what he's doing. A torr is a measure of pressure. Yeah, that's correct. And we have pressure in what are called vacuums, because there's no such thing as an absolute vacuum. There's only real-world vacuums. There's a vacuum that's been claimed concerning the heliocentric outer space, and that would have a torr value of 10 to the minus 17 torr. So, where is it?
No, it's not what he's doing.
He's trying to character assassinate Mark.
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. I said I'd give you an apology, and you've now proven you're absolutely bang on, right? Yeah, all he's doing is character assassinating Mark. Mark says 8 inches per mile squared. Oh, what an amateur. He doesn't understand this claim. Mark says 10 to the minus 17 torr. Oh, does this guy not... excuse us, these are fairly well-known rhetorical nonsenses from the heliocentric model that Mark's just parroting off, as in parroting off your claims. And all you're doing is repeating back your globe claims paraphrased by Mark and saying they're wrong. It's garbage!
Can overcome gravity here on the surface.
Even your
Back in the days when flat earthers were talking about how something could overcome gravity.
arms can overcome gravity when you have to throw them up in the air and say,
How does that cloud not come down?
I don't know what's going on. Why? Because gravity is the weakest of all fundamental forces.
This guy hasn't been through higher education in science.
Gravity is a force again?
Yep.
Hold on.
And it's not, even when it was claimed to be a force, it wasn't one of the fundamental forces.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
an emerging force.
That was my point, Brian. He's miscategorized it, hasn't he?
Yep.
It's not fundamental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Given that all pressure differentials and vacuums are described with respect to sea level, how is this helping him again?
It's not. You'll need a flat Earth to describe the pressure differential if you're going to go up to the atmosphere, mesosphere. All of these descriptions are with respect to sea level, even though you've inferred sphericity to the air that doesn't have an oxymoronic shape to it. It just fills whatever volume he described at the beginning. But from my point of view, based on my understanding of what you get taught if you're in a higher education in science of any description, at some point you're gonna learn about gravity not being a force. If you've got a higher level of education, he's describing it as a force, which tends to suggest.
His response to Mark. Sorry.
Yeah, this is his response to Mark. Yeah.
But his response is gravity is supposedly the weakest of the forces. Like, how does that help you? Like, what the hell?
But it's not a force, and if you've gone through higher education, you'd know that. So he hasn't. That's the only conclusion I can draw. But yet he's described himself like some physicist-y type title. What is it? Real nuclear physicist? Or real nuclear physics? That's actually not ascribing it to him, is it? Now I've misread it at distance on my big screen.
Gravity is proportional to the mass of an object, and the lower the
Yeah, so it's talking Newtonian.
Mass.
Yeah, what's mass?
This guy is supposed to be a higher level. He's supposed to be real nuclear physicist. That's pretty much as high level as you go as a physicist, I would say.
That's not what he's saying. He's saying the channel's about real nuclear physics.
Yeah, well,
The mass?
how can he be calling gravity a force then?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Exactly.
The lower the gravitational force.
There's no force of gravity. Quote, Professor Brian Cox. There isn't really a force of gravity at all, end quote. Or George Musa, Scientific American. Gravity is not a force.
But
Could you
that's why
rewind that slightly?
he's doing the second part of George Musa's quote. But you can think of it as a force.
You can think
That's
of
what
it
he's doing.
as a roast chicken, but it is not a force.
Easy to pick up a pencil, but quite difficult to pick up a mountain.
And very difficult to chase a helium balloon into the air. As it...
In building molecule-free
He said
chambers.
up again. I object to his use of the word up.
You go ahead, John. Make the same objection. I love it.
Out.
Yeah, up is with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. So no, he can't say up. He needs to fix his vernacular.
Yeah, they can't though, can they?
No, it's hilarious. They're stuck. They need a flat Earth more than we do.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a good day.
For the manufacturing of electronics, a series of massive pumps are needed to create a 99% vacuum. That's -9 torr.
The negative pressure value just means the pressure inside of the container is lower than the pressure on the outside of the container.
Container.
Yeah, number one. So you're going to need a container for this. But both of them have got the terminology wrong, haven't they? Did Mark say -9 torr or something? There is no.
He's using atmospheric pressure instead of absolute pressure.
He said that.
That's what he was referring to.
He said negative pressure. Did he not? Listen.
Yeah, he might have.
Just listen again.
Well, now he could have been.
Go on.
There's internal pressures as compared to atmospheric pressures, and they can be described as negative pressures, but they're not. It's just a different way of measuring, but it's not negative.
No, I get you. In old steam engines, right? They'd boost the steam up to something ridiculous like 100 psi, and then it would go through whatever engine it's going through, or turbine or whatever. But then it would be used again at a lower pressure. So let's say it's reduced down to 20 psi. But at some point, those cycles with steam, for instance, can get down to like 6. In other words, it's lower than atmospheric pressure, but it's still at pressure, and therefore still useful. They can still generate energy with it, or turn a turbine with it, or whatever, until it's, depleted beyond its useful, purposes, and then presumably they turn it back into water or whatever they do with the steam, right? My point being that just because something's below 14.7 psi doesn't make it a negative value, but that's not the context that he's giving. He's just took Mark Sargent's misspeak and then described negative pressure with it. If you listen back, unless I'm very much mistaken and I misheard what he just said, but if you've got a tyre and you stick the valve on it and it's flat, that is to say, it's at atmospheric pressure both inside and outside the tyre, then it'll be flat, right? But for the sake of argument, if you had a rigid tyre and you started sucking air out of it, you could have a pressure value inside the tyre that was lower than atmospheric pressure. But that doesn't make it a minus value. You're just at 10 compared to 14. That's all
Yeah,
that
but
means.
it comes... Sorry, let me just clear this up. It comes from how torr is described. It's described as, what Mark just actually described was 10 to the -9 torr to the minus. So people are taking the minus and the plus, and they're making the plus positive, and the minus is negative. It's going on with years. So people will often say, incorrectly, but they just say it offhand, all kinds of people, negative as opposed to just minus. because of how it's formulated mathematically.
Right.
So that's the problem. It's
Sure,
not that
so
anyone's
when-
claiming
when-
there's minus pressure.
Gotcha. When described as 10 to the minus something, you're moving the decimal place further and further along, which is to say there's less and less particles in a given area. And the further you go down in that minus value would mean there would be less particles in the given area, right? By a division. So you can give it in a minus number when you say 10 to the minus 17 torr. That's a fraction of the amount of pressure that we've got here at surface level, or 14.7 by comparison if you put it into PSI, right? I don't know what that is in torr. Anyway, the point being
760 is 40.
that when he says -9, Mark, because Mark misspoke, Mark just said -9 torr, and then the guy started blarting on in response to his misspeak about negative pressure. I just want you to hear it once more. I'm just going to play it.
-9 torr.
A negative pressure value just means the pressure inside of the container is lower than the pressure on the outside of the container. Or, in other words, the pressure of an object is lower than the surrounding environment's pressure. Having said that, negative pressure just implies a vacuum.
See, there is no negative pressure. Just a nonsensical term from a misspeak from Mark, from what I can glean from that.
The more negative the value, the better.
Go on.
I know this because I had to ask Adam about it only a while back, because I was trying to write torr values out on something, and I had to make sure they were right, because I hadn't written out torr values before. I'd written everything in PSI. What you're talking about, what Mark was pointing to, is if you wanted to write 10 to the minus 17 or 10 to the minus 9 torr, there's two ways you could do it, but one way would be 0.009 torr. So 0.009 torr. So that's how it works. It would be 10 would be 0.0010 torr. Do you know what I mean? So when you're talking about when they're saying minus, they don't mean negative. And I don't know why that guy is using the term negative. To me, it sounds like he's trying to make stuff up on the spot there. Because just because the internals of a balloon is less than the external 14.7, let's say the internal of a balloon is 13.7, that doesn't mean that that's technically a vacuum. The vacuums are clearly defined. You get to a low-grade vacuum, which is around 10 to the minus 1 torr, somewhere, or 10 to the minus 2 torr, something like that is a low-grade vacuum. That's when it starts becoming what's officially defined as a vacuum.
I just can't wait till he gets to the part where he tells us how we have any of this pressure without a container in the first place. Sorry, John.
What he's doing is convoluting the measurement, right? He's using atmospheric pressure as his zero, and anything below that is negative. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, that's what I suggested he was doing. I agree.
Better the vacuum. But if we take space for an example, space is a near perfect vacuum. So there's nothing in the environment of space to compare it to get a -10 torr value. The space between Earth and the Moon has a value of 1 times 10 to the -11 torr.
I'm pretty sure that the gas that we're breathing at high pressure would want to fill that area if that was the case.
You know how he calculated that 10 to the -11 torr?
With respect to sea level?
Absolutely.
Which is not a negative value, just a very, very, very small value.
And for the remaining 1%,
Fair enough. He's just undone Mike and John's criticism of him. Yes, that's correct.
horsepower isn't enough. It can only be achieved by a chemical leaching process. That being said, how is the -10 torr vacuum force of space not ripping off the atmosphere of this world?
The vacuum of space is not ripping the atmosphere of the Earth because vacuums do not suck. They are not vacuum.
Yeah, this guy is literally attempting to just go back in time to 2015 and make a 2015 Flat Earth video a month ago. That's literally all he's doing.
Good.
Vacuum's not taking the air away because vacuums don't suck. Okay, let's just phrase this correctly. why isn't the high pressure gas we are all breathing not expanding out into the area of volume you believe the sky is?
Exactly.
That's the question.
That's the point I wanted to make, Nathan. We don't care if they make a false claim, correct them. And that correction is the point that the gas will expand at great force. Sometimes, if there's nothing to impede it, like other pressure, yeah, the gas will expand into the volume. Yeah, of course, vacuums don't suck, mate. We agree with you. Gas expands to fill the available space.
Well, if you're sucking something with a straw, you're creating a vacuum. That sucking is the vacuum. You're creating a pressure differential. So to suck,
but you create the pressure differential by sucking. What forces the thing is air pressure created by you creating a void at the other end of the straw. At that point, the air pressure externally pushes the fluid up.
Yeah.
Are you saying you suck, Brian?
Okay.
Well, this guy is trying to answer things that are not the point. The point is, why is all this high pressure gas not diffusing into this lower pressure area that he's claiming exists, that of basically zero resistance?
Quick shout out to Roger Ledwell, who says, nuclear what? Yeah, physics. He's claiming to be a physics-based channel. So I can probably hear the banging in the background as my wife makes me coffee. We've gone over the normal live stream show time, so I'm happy to carry on though if you guys are, because I think this is worthy of a live audience, especially as I'm getting super chats. Thank you, Roger. You guys happy to carry on? Yes, Nathan, we're all really keen to cover the rest of this video.
Why would we
That's a stupid question.
It's not a stupid question. You guys might want to just chit chat in the after show. I don't know.
What about the QE one? What about the quantum eraser video we got? QE's here.
I think I am going to move on to that, if that's okay with you guys. What do you think?
Why?
Why can't we just stay on this one, please?
See, QE. This is definitely that's why I asked, Brian. See, some people might not want to move on, even though that wasn't an option that I gave at the moment that I asked that question. But that's not important at all. So do we want to move on to the quantum eraser video? Because we're live, we've got a live audience, and we've got quantum erasers sat here.
No, stay with this one.
Okay, fine.
I don't know which one this one is, but stay with the one you're doing.
Well, I can do a call to action. It's very good timing. I can say to let this guy know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, if you are watching in the live stream chat, as I've got it up for that super chat. So I will paste in a link to his video. While I'm doing this call to action, literally, as you hear this, go and click on that video right now and leave him a comment and say, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, he responded to your video about Mark Sargent. And the idea is, hopefully, he'd put a link to my video if he was to do a response, so we can gain some algorithmic traction where YouTube offer us none at Congress's behest. Nevertheless, yeah, go and let me know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. The name of the channel is Real Nuclear Physics. That's the name of the channel. The video that we're covering is called Answering Mark Sargent's Dumb Science Questions from 2018.
I think it's Real Nuclear Physicist.
Huh? Physics. Real Nuclear Physics is the name of the channel. So, yeah, our accusations at the beginning of this where we're like, you can't call yourself a physicist, you don't know anything about physics. Why aren't you even calling Mark on his inappropriate use of these words when asking science to answer questions? Well, no, his channel's called Real Nuclear Physics, which isn't necessarily ascribing himself any credit that he shouldn't have, like Professor Dave.
No, he does. This guy, as far as I know, he is basically claiming to be a nuclear physicist.
I feel like Nathan's stalling for time because he don't want Quantum Eraser to chew Mark's hunt in.
I'm waiting for the people to return after the call to action. There's been people who've clicked away. I've literally just told my audience, go away from my video, leave them a comment, and when they come back, they want to hopefully, from past experience, know that we're still waffling about this guy and the call to action and going out and asking him to make a video about me or telling him that I've made a video about him or whatever it is I'm asking the audience to do. They just want to come back and hear us still talking roughly about that in like 30 seconds when they've all gone and done what I've asked them to do. So yeah, I am chewing out time, but not for that reason.
Does QE know that this is a 2015 video that was responded to in 2024?
I was just going to say the same thing. We're going to ignore a quantum racer video. We'll quantum racer here and do a low-hanging 2015 video about Mark Sargent. Great.
Okay, just for the audience's benefit, when we say 2015 video, to be clear, what we mean is he is covering 2015 flat earth concepts that were put out in the Feast of Nonsense when we all, or some of us, arrived here. Now, this video's a month old in 2024. Now, it's a month old. But 2015 references the fact that it's very old-fashioned style of argumentation that he's trying to rebut. And that's why he's cherry-picked a 2018 video from Mark Sargent to answer questions about reification by Mark. And as I've already disclosed, I've subsequently spoken to Mark about science. And I'm pretty certain he's far more refined in what he puts out there these days. But this is very early doors for even Mark in 2018, I would say. But he's cherry-picked this out so that he can have an easy 2015 experience in terms of videography. This is easy for him to make. He's boshed this out in no time.
Vacuum cleaners. Gravity keeps the atmosphere from escaping.
Now, gravity's not a force. Atmosphere is an oxymoron. And as for escaping, gas doesn't go down, go boom, boom, go splash, splash. Gas expands in all directions to fill whatever volume, like the volume you described earlier when describing space. Well, if space was a volume for gas to fill, gas would fill it. Gas expands in all directions. Your recontextualization of Mark's description of this argument in 2018 to vacuums don't suck. What, therefore, gas go down, go boom, boom with a non-force of gravity? This is total garbage.
And as you go up in elevation, the atmospheric pressure gets lower and lower.
How is that gas going down, go boom, boom? Okay, yeah, we've got gas getting less as you go up because it's not produced up in the sky. But it's going up.
The gradient.
Well, the gradient is a demonstration of gas dispersion, though, isn't it? It's produced at ground level and is dispersing up into the area above it, according to his description he's just given. Okay, so that's gas expanding upwards, in total defiance of the thing he claimed, his crappy 2015 argument.
That's
Well,
what's
that's
called
called
the pressure gradient.
Where did he get elevation from?
Hey, John, where did you get elevation? Refracted.
What?
Go, John, go.
Was
Go,
the
John, go.
elevation refracted?
I was calling out to Refracted to answer your question. Can you ask your question again and hopefully Refracted Curvature will give you a response?
Well, Mr. Nuclear Fuzzy-haired nuclear physics guy said elevation. Where'd he get that from?
Horizontal planar reference.
Nope.
Gonna need a flat earth for elevation. It's not talking about in and out, is he? Roger Ledwell, another shout out to you, my friend. Thank you very much. Real what? Bad hair day? Are you talking about me? Half mine's fallen out. Thank you for the super chat.
Our atmosphere. And as you reach the upper part of the atmosphere, the pressure gradient is so small that it's basically a vacuum.
It basically doesn't carry on dispersing into the area it's been dispersing into to become gradiated. No, that's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, my friend.
Thank you. I was going to say, basically, it's a second law of thermodynamics violation.
What is gravity?
It's a non-force force that you can think of as a force that used to be a force 109 years ago and is now Einsteinian conceptual fourth-dimensional space-time bending. How's that, Mark? 2024, mate.
As
And remember,
far as
there.
what it is, we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, we do. It's bent 4D space-time.
Gases that already defy it, like helium, hydrogen, and fluorocarbons.
It's gases.
These gases do not defy gravity.
No, there is no gravity to defy. There's no natural phenomena to observe. Meanwhile, gases do expand in all directions in spite of your second law of thermodynamics violation that you just gave us a second ago. You just saying, well, gas just kind of goes up to the highest levels and then becomes a vacuum in violation of entropic law. No, it's not going to be the case that we take your statements and use them notwithstanding of this claim that nothing's going to overcome the non-force of gravity. Or they're not non-defiant of the force of gravity. There is no force of gravity. Professor Brian Cox, there isn't really a force of gravity at all.
In fact, they work exactly.
Go on.
Yeah, this guy is just doing the same as all the other boarders do and don't learn anything. They just don't learn anything. The pressure gradient has nothing. And yeah, people like Sabine Hossenfelder coming out on her own videos, correcting her own mistake for claiming that the pressure gradient had anything to do with a gravity gradient, right, or whatever they want to be claiming. It's just, she even corrected herself on that was wrong. The pressure gradient has nothing to do with that. It's got to do with temperature, it's got to do with thermal columns, it's got to do with convection cells and gas cycles, it's got to do with the sun, it's got to do with all kinds of things. But you know what has nothing got to do with? A claim of some stupid claim of a force that doesn't exist. Has nothing to do with that. This guy is just the same as the rest of them. No learning. Just, this is what people on my side say, so that must be what's correct. An idiot.
Yeah, and to have all of those things that you just described, you would need containment first to develop gas pressure, to develop convection, to develop heat cycles, and various other things that we experience in reality. First, you need the gas to be able to press on something. It must be contained. In spite, as I say, of this guy's violation of second law of thermodynamics description of gas just expanding up into higher elevations, getting thinner, and then just turning into a vacuum. No, gas fills space. If areas of volume are available to the gas, then they will fill it.
Yeah, that vacuum and that temperature, along with the gas pressure, they will also need a solid container.
So what you're saying is that this physicist is just your average skank and file baltard. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's a physicist at this stage. He's just your average bozo.
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't even say he's your average skank and file baltard. I'd say he's stuck in 2015 responding to the oldest of the old arguments, the lowest of the low-hanging fruit that there is, the most commonly available rotten fruit that you can scrape off the dirty, pooed-on floor. That's what he's responding to and doing a bad job of it. You can't really call him the same level as the skank and file globetards. Most would do a better job than him.
You know, his description of a second law of thermodynamics violation is with respect to a flat plane anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
What's this idiot doing?
Proving a flat Earth in 2024. Another shout out to Roger Ledwell. Says, moments atone the campfire. I think he means around. Moments around the campfire. I don't know what that means, but thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
In a gravitational field. I'm going to use a word that flat earthers are quite fond of using to try
the stereotyping fallacy?
Try and disprove gravity. And that's buoyancy. Yes, helium balloons rise, but they do not indefinitely rise. And
gases expand in all directions in all circumstances. It's a law of nature. He's just going to keep violating the second law, isn't he?
Wait, the word that flat earthers like to use. You mean the word that Glovers like to use when they're describing something not going down? Is that what he means?
That's exactly what he's talking about.
What he means is if I put this gas in a container and it goes up, it won't go up forever because it's in a container. Right.
Yeah. What he's about to do is get everything. He already did get everything wrong. He's about to totally mischaracterize the situation. A helium balloon will go up and keep going up until it reaches a certain point. Then it'll bust. And all the helium inside of it will expand out to fill the available volume. That's what will happen. It won't just go up and then just start coming back down again, because that's what he's trying to imply. That's not what happens in reality, buddy.
The reason they rise is because there's an intrinsic force pulling the more dense atmosphere downwards.
So his explanation is the atmosphere is pulled down. So sphere-shaped air, oxymoron, goes down. No, your own description had gas dispersing upwards, getting thinner as it does so. So no, gas isn't going down to force other stuff up. Gas expands in all directions, and in our experience, starts at ground level and exclusively goes away from it in an upward vector. Yes, some of it might bounce off other gases and come back down again, but ultimately, all of it is going up, without exception. So your suggestion that gas is what, poured in from sky factories of gas to make the other gases go down? Gas doesn't behave like that. It's very stupid. It's along the lines of an idiot named Thunderfoot, who described gas behavior by pouring solid bouncy balls into a fish tank to suggest that gas go down, go boom boom, go splash splash, like solid bonded bouncy balls, when unbonded gas does not do that. It expands to fill whatever volume it's got. It's a law of nature. PV equals nRT. What do you think the V is?
Helium reaches a height where the atmosphere above it is less dense than helium itself, so the balloon does not rise anymore.
So he's convoluting the two. Who called it? Convoluting the contained gas in a balloon versus the gas and its behavior. Who called
I think
that?
that was John Refracted.
Yeah, John.
Stopping it from escaping into space, you guessed it, it's gravity.
So gas go down, go boom boom. No.
Gravity!
No, gravity's not a force. Gas doesn't go down, go boom boom. It's not poured in from sky factories. It's produced at ground level and goes up and expands to fill whatever volume it's got.
Isn't it more logical to suggest that the atmosphere is being contained in an enclosed, pressurized system?
It's not about logical. It's an antecedent-consequent relationship. There must be containment.
They had no answer.
Well, if you think about it, gravity is our container.
Gravity's not even a force.
Oh,
That's funny.
there we go.
All right, I
Gravity's the
guess you can
container.
probably move on from this.
Yeah.
Gravity is
You
the
just
thing
wanted to do it.
preventing the atmosphere from escaping. The fact that you keep
Escaping what? The non-existent containment and the gas going down, go boom boom from the sky factories for it, pouring it in. No, gas expands in all directions and is produced at ground level and goes up. It's not going down. There is no downward bias to gas. It's not like dropping a pencil. Yeah? When Neil deGrasse Tyson examples gravity, he drops his mic. Why? To demonstrate it's going down. You're saying gas does that. Yeah? Have you never experienced flatulence? Does it pool in a little puddle below you? Or does it expand throughout the volume and eventually dissipate? That's what gases do.
saying they had no answer at the end of each question makes me think that either they had answers, you just couldn't understand what they were saying to you, or you made the whole thing up.
Number 3, Eclipse shadow. Mainstream.
Or the guy knew that those type of answers are nonsense and there's no point in giving them to Mark Sargent because Mark Sargent would just laugh at him. Or that's the case. Just like that guy that Mark Sargent was interacting with or had a thing with, this PhD, this professor guy, he would definitely not give us those answers because he knows that we would laugh him out of the room.
Gotcha. That's what Roger Ledwell's last super chat was about when he was talking about being cozied up at the fire. And he's clarified it with his most recent super chat. Just brings back memories, getting warm and fuzzy. Yeah, now I know what you mean. Now you've contextualized it. Thank you for the super chat, Roger Ledwell. Yeah, exactly. It brings back memories of these crappy old arguments from way back when.
Science tells us that the moon is over 2,000 miles wide, and yet during the 2017 American eclipse, no offense, the moon's shadow was only 70 miles wide. A
Moon shadow? What now?
reduction of over 97%.
I've already made a video on shadows and why the moon's shadow appears so much smaller than the moon.
I've made a video on shadows, therefore what we experience in an eclipse is definitely a shadow. Why? How are you going to demonstrate that something we do not physically see is occulting the sun? Go ahead.
because the angle of incident of the light as it strikes the surface of Earth is small, they presuppose the moon to be. So that's how they reconcile that with a number and penumbra.
Oh, that's
So
reconciled by the angle difference off a flat plane.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
so obviously this can't be the first video about flat Earth that this guy's made, because he's already what did he just claim? That he made a video explaining why the moon's shadow, in quotes, is smaller than what the moon is supposed to be. He's already done that. So this is not his first flat Earth video, I suppose.
Hey, Eli.
That doesn't have to be a flat Earth attack, though, does it? It's just, see, that is just a recognition that in reality, when we have shadows, they conform to certain rules with regards to relationship to the size of the object. But it's obvious to a heliocentric that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so something's not stirring the Kool-Aid, so he had to make a video to actually stir the Kool-Aid. God.
Moon itself. So please just go have a look at it. Here's a quick recap. The dark part of the shadow, called the umbra, is the part that we see during the eclipse. Now that's so much smaller than the moon because the sun is so much larger and further away than the moon is.
Uh-oh.
Well, you'll need a flat Earth for this. You know, you're going to extrapolate this from Kepler and Huygens and their scale. But their scale and radial value inference for Venus in the case of Huygens comes from a flat Earth measurement of radius when it comes to angles to Polaris. So if you're going to call this a success in heliocentrism, you can ascribe that success to the measurements that derive from flat Earth.
But that's not what they're doing here. What the ballers do here, if I just want to remember this correctly, is they'll have a big light on a small object, and that shadow from the object will be whatever, diverting out. And I think, if I remember correctly, they pull the big light back really far while holding the small object where it is, and that causes the shadow to get smaller than it was. Something like that. I remember seeing this in the past, but it's a heap of nonsense. It's like it's about the movement of the light source in distance from the object, kind of thing. But they have to move it. It is not analogous to what they're trying to claim, if you know what I mean, in any way. But they try and make it as if it's an excuse.
Right, any last words before I round up for the live stream and ask him to stay tuned? Nope. Fair enough. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
He thought that east and west were two ends of a straight line, right? And I pointed out to him, no, the compass uses a straight line as east and west as a tangent to a circle of latitude at a point. A tangent is a tangent at a point, a circle in geometry. Now, there's plenty of geometry goes on over in Babs. I don't know why he can't understand this, but obviously he's not learning it. So maybe you should ask Bev what a tangent to a circle is. Maybe ask Bev what a tangent to a circle is.
May I ask you, Brian, just to get clarity, are you claiming that between east and west and a compass rose east and west, anyone's claiming an angle exists there?
I'm only claiming that the XY that the compass uses for north, south, east, and west, that XY, the north on the compass is pointed towards north, and east west makes and south is obviously away from north, and east west on the compass makes a tangent. It's a tangent at a point to a circle of latitude. That's how it works. That's all I'm saying. I'm just correctly detailing how it works. That's all.
Right. So you've never claimed that there's an angle between east and west in the compass rose and east and west in the latitude system. You've never claimed that an angle exists there, have you?
I've never said anything about it other than there's a 90-degree on the compass. That's it. Like
no, but from memory, hold on a second, John. From memory, Edabed did try and force that upon us and suggest that we had said those things when he said that you had described it as perpendicular. And I think at that stage it was me, and I stepped in and said, nobody's claimed that. Are you claiming that? Do you remember me saying, so you're claiming that? And you took umbrage with me pointing out that you were the only one saying it, therefore you were the only one who could be asserted as making the claim, because we hadn't claimed it. But now you're asking Brian about whether or not he justifies that non-claim. It seems like he's Edinburgh, that is. He's got an angle he wants to force on us. No pun intended.
You told me
he
that.
absolutely does.
You told
He's
me that if
trying
I
to
was facing
equivocate
north
Earth
and I
Hold on,
turned,
John. Hold
mathematics.
on. Hold on. Go ahead, Edinburgh.
you told me if I was facing north and I turned through 90 degrees to face west, you said I couldn't do that because I couldn't get an angle to the curve. You told me.
Who told you that?
Yeah, you're not making an angle to the curve.
You,
It's a tangent.
Nathan, you said that.
Who's you? Brian or me?
You're getting that 90-degree angle, you said.
Who's you?
What you said. No. You need to go back and listen.
Who's you?
As longitude
You crayon crunching clown.
is a straight line
Who's
meeting and latitude
you?
is a curved line,
Question was,
how do you
who's
get an angle to a
you?
curve?
Who's you?
You, QE.
He needs an Adderall drip.
I'm me.
No, he's only trolling. He won't say who
I'm
he's
just following what
actually
you said
talking
to
about.
me, that was all.
He wants to speak in vague generalities in the hope that someone tries to make something specific out of it. Bev does this all the time. Like, what's going on here is Bev and Elderbear and whoever else doesn't understand how a compass works. Elderbear is over here trying to get audio clips by trolling, but still not understanding how a compass works.
I don't record anything.
I don't
Not
see
after
any
any
reason.
clips.
I don't see any reason why Elderbear is left to be part of any of this. He's proven himself to be totally dishonest. He doesn't know what he's talking about. When he was shown to not know what he was talking about, he wasn't willing to concede. Then he was willing to eventually lie. I don't see what the point is of anyone having anything to do with Elderbear.
Brian, he's Rumpus. And Rumpus got booted.
He's
this
not
guy
Rumpus.
is Rumpus.
He's worse. He's not Rumpus. He's Elderbear, and he has his own little angle that's based on absolutely nothing, because he thinks that there's... One second, leave me. He thinks that we don't know what we're talking about, and he does, and the people on the level does. So, Elderbear, can you produce for me these proofs that are over on the level that we keep hearing about? I keep hearing about them for several years now. We've got proofs. Proofs. So what are they? What are they? So you don't have any information, yet you're over on the level all the time. So you didn't learn anything on the level, then. You don't get any proofs over there. No proofs then on the level.
Go and ask them. It's not me.
So you don't have any.
Sorry,
you don't have any proofs.
both you stop.
Let's
Let's just try and take control again. The question that's being put to you, Edinburgh, is just give us some examples of stuff you learned during your time at Bev's. That's what he's asking you for.
No, I'm talking about what I'm learning here.
And his inference when you didn't give him any.
Claim, so I don't want to bring them
okay,
into
I'm just trying to take charge, but I'm just trying to take charge. That's all. So his inference and reason you can tell.
So you can find some clip.
It seems like I'm not being able to take charge. Yeah, I will. Saying, by you not telling him what you've learned at Bev's, can we infer, I'll phrase it as a question, that you didn't learn anything there?
You can infer what you want. I'm talking about what I learned here.
I can. I would infer that you learned nothing from Bev's, or you just rattle off a list of things that you learned from Bev's. But like most people, you've deserted Bev and spend most of your time here now. That's very telling. Now, if you were to be asked the same question about what you've learned here, what would you say? I la'd my way through everything they tried to teach me.
No, I learned you got a straight line to a curve.
That there is proofs over on Bev's?
Have we got these? Hold on, Brian and Elder Bev. Have we got straight lines to curves, or are you detailing a process of celestial navigation? Is it embarrassing that I'm going to be phrasing a question to you? That means immediate yammering through the middle of you. Do it again. I'm just going to remove you from the call. We'll carry on the discussion without you. Are you describing something in celestial navigation?
He did it again.
He doesn't want to hear the dangerous and devastating questions we have for him. Are you asking questions about celestial navigation? Because it seems like you're asking them like they're Brian's points of contention, as opposed to processes involved in celestial navigation with compasses and such. Nothing? Best you behave that way, Ed the Bear. Yeah, you've got nothing to answer questions on. You've just got yammering through the top of everyone else. Jolly good.
That's what I meant when I said he's rumpus.
I'm still waiting for someone to claim that between east and west on the compass rose, someone claims there's an angle that exists between east and west in the longitude and latitude system. I've yet to hear anyone claim that ever.
Yeah, no one claimed that there was an angle between a straight line and a curve. No one claimed that. I just detailed what the compass was and how it worked as a tangent to a circle. A tangent to a circle is not an angle between a straight line and a curve. You can't get one of those. Do you know what I mean? But what I'm really interested
he
in, John,
kept saying angle to a curve, not from a curve.
Yeah, he said it in different ways. But
no, it would be. Hold
what
on.
I'm really interested
it would be though.
Hang on. What I'm really interested in.
It would be.
Nathan,
He's right in that instance,
please.
Chocolate. It is angled to a curve because you're talking about putting
you're not
a line.
making an angle to it. No, you're not. No, it's a tangent. No, right? It's a tangent. What I'm really interested in is all these proofs they have over on the level, because I've heard about them for several years. I even asked Bev about them privately, and all he could say was, "Come to the on the level. Why don't you just show them to everyone? Just produce the proofs. Let's see your proofs. If they're good, yeah, we'll praise them. We'll promote them. So let's see them." Because Elder Bear is part of the on the level crew. I mean, he doesn't seem to know anything about any of these proofs. Surely someone else can come over and present, not just talk, but present these proofs. Because they want to critique everyone else's everything and say they have proofs, but yet no one gets to see these secret proofs of theirs.
Well, the arguments that they utilize here against us run contrary to the proofs they claim there, so they will never do that, Brian.
Proofs of what again?
They don't have any.
That level is a horizontal. The level is used to establish a horizontal plane of reference. Isn't that one of their proofs?
You got 10 years and no proof.
Yes, it is, John. Yes, contradictory as that may be. Yes.
Yeah, we're fine with that. Yep. Do you have a problem with level being used to establish a horizontal plane of reference?
I'm not fine with it. 1 second. You just gave a proof that's supposedly from on the level, and then Nathan agreed. And then Nathan agreed with you.
Nathan said 10 years. He had
we have yet to see any demonstration of or detailing of these proofs from these on the level crew. Let's see them, bring them to us, and detail and show them. Don't pre-assume what they have or don't have. Let's see what they have. Because, I mean, the Black Swan is all wrong and fallacious, and everything else is celestial navigation is fallacious. Everything's fallacious. So let's see this higher level proof.
I don't represent
Let's see the higher level proof from on the level.
You want to know what they got? You go and ask. I don't represent them.
Like you tell them, Elder Bear, because you're friends with them. You tell them we're looking for. I'm specifically asking for them to produce publicly their proofs.
Go and ask yourself. Go and ask yourself.
No,
I don't represent them.
Why would I go and ask them again? Produce the proofs.
Because you don't want to. No good asking me, is it?
It's either produce the proofs or STFU.
I'm asking you about your straight line to a curve. That was all.
That's it.
You mean a tangent?
That's making navigation, though, isn't it? I asked you that earlier, and you just went silent.
Compass.
Talking about tools in navigation, right? And you're laying them at Brian's door like they're his. They're not. It's talking about navigation. But you're trying to discredit Brian with this stuff.
Yeah, I just detailed the compass, the thing he didn't understand last week, and other people on the level haven't been able to understand for God knows how long. You know what I mean? So all I did was detail what that was and how it worked. And now he's trying to create a straw man based off of me correcting him on what he didn't understand and didn't learn on the level crew, didn't teach him. Now he wants to make a straw man attack on me. Pretty weak.
You haven't taught me anything, Brian. I think you've got problems with him. It's not me. Your issue.
No, I have a problem. I have a problem with people making claims and not producing any evidence of those claims. Like proofs.
Go and talk to them about it, Brian. Go and talk to them about it. Not me. I don't represent them.
Proofs. Yeah, you
I
did.
don't represent them. I never talked
Yeah, you
about
do.
who
You
Elder,
represent
represents
them.
them.
what
I never
is
talked
You
your
about them.
represent
issue though?
on the level crew. You're coming in here on the behest of them. I'm not stupid.
No,
So
you
Well, he's
fools
you tell
disavowed
them,
them.
by that,
that
Brian.
we're
That's not true.
requesting to see their proofs. We're
Tell
requesting
him
to see.
yourself. Tell him
We are
yourself. You're a man,
requesting to
aren't
see
you?
our proofs.
You're a big man. Big
What's wrong?
Irish man and
Don't you have
everything.
them? Don't you have the
Here,
proofs to show?
go and ask
Don't you
them.
have any proofs over there to show?
I'm not claiming any proofs of theirs. So you go and ask
So you're
them
not
if you got
claiming it.
butt
So
hurt by it. You
no.
go and
Why
ask
would I
them.
do that when you're part of their crew? You tell them. You send a message
I'm
to
not
them. You'll
part
be
of their
over there
crew.
soon. Yeah, you're on the level.
Yeah, they're the only
Let's see the
people who
proofs.
don't
I'm
treat me
being
like
honest.
shit,
Like,
so I
if the
hang
proofs
about
are
there.
there,
And you
I'll
do.
promote them. I'll literally promote the proofs. Let's see what's there. I want to see these higher level proofs. Because
Isn't that an
nobody
oxymoron?
has seen them yet. Know them. For the past several years, they're talking about them. No one's seen them. Nobody's seen these epic proofs.
Well, let's just say for a second I'm right. And they do say that level is used to establish a horizontal reference. If level doesn't exist because there's micro undulations and everything, can you ever establish a horizontal plane of reference with that argument?
Well, technically, no, because especially if you're going to use a water level, because water is never at total rest, and there's always going to be tiny, tiny undulations on its surface. So I really don't know how you can claim to create a horizontal plane of reference with a water level when you're claiming that, you know what I mean? When you're using water and you're claiming, well, the water won't exactly be 100% totally level on top, you know, because it's going to have
Yeah, but you
undulations.
said the
That's
Earth's
as
the
water does.
reference. That's your issue. You said the Earth's the reference.
Oh,
That's your
I don't
problem.
have an issue. I'm not the one over on the level hanging around over there, trolling them.
That's
You're
what,
the one over
Lumpy
here
was telling me about the difference
doing
between the
nothing and no
reference
proofs.
and the
You're the
things
one
being
over here with
measured.
no proofs. Get the proofs.
Go and ask
Produce the
Lumpy.
proofs.
He said. He
Don't
told you. You gaslit him. Poor
don't waste your
Lumpy.
time pre-assuming
One
what
of your
they
friends who
have.
treated him so
see
badly.
it. Let's see it. Don't pre-assume. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see what you got. Because as soon as I ask for proof, Elder, suddenly I'm totally detached from them. I don't know anything about anything. You know what I mean? It seems to be fear. Why are you scared to produce your proofs publicly? You must be
You made that
scared.
connection, Brian.
You
Like
must
you
be
do. You keep
scared. You're
calling
not
me Bev
confident
and
of your
that. That's
proof.
your issue.
Maybe I'm not
Because
confident
you've
of your
got
proof.
years of hurt.
No, I don't have any
Years
issue
of
with
hurt
Bev.
from
I have an
somewhere.
issue with people. I have an issue with
Well, go and
people.
talk
I
to
don't
him
care who
then.
they are,
Stop
making
talking to
claims
me
and
about
producing
him.
nothing. Yeah, you need
Go and
to.
ask them
You need
yourself,
to.
man.
You need to.
Thought
You
you
need
were
to
a man.
get your
You got
Okay,
off
no
balls
worries.
to go
Okay,
over there
fine.
and
Let's
talk
just
to him.
stop. Fine. Just go and talk to Lumpy yourself.
I did speak to Lumpy, and
Okay.
he told me that what
No,
he
I don't
told
want to
you.
know.
He told me
Don't
he
want to
sent
know.
me an
Don't want to know
email where
hearsay.
you agreed
You're
with him.
going to have your conversations with
No,
Lumpy.
he sent me an email that you sent to him, and he
Me?
said that QE
Who's
also
you?
told you
Who's
the Earth's
you?
not measured
Who's
flat.
you? Who's you?
Me, who
That
you're
you
talking
sent to him?
right now.
He sent you an email that you sent to him.
He sent me an email that you sent to him.
I sent to him.
Yes.
And? And that's
what?
it. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we can say that Lumpy
where
is
you
sharing
agreed that
private
the Earth is not the
information according
reference.
to Elder Bev.
Right? The Earth is not the reference. You need a reference to measure it.
When we're referencing Earth for navigation.
What, like a water level?
Right, when
Like a
we're
water level.
referencing
That's
Earth
not
for
the sea,
navigation.
though. That's not the sea,
My
Brian.
response has gone unheeded. When navigating the surface and measuring the surface for navigation.
I've already told you haven't established that. That's rubbish.
When we're navigating, I haven't established when navigators navigate. I haven't done anything. Navigators do this. What are you talking about?
Sextant doesn't measure the surface.
Right,
it's not a surveying tool.
you didn't respond to what I just said. I'm not doing anything. This is a process called navigation. Is your beef with this process? You didn't answer me last time. Maybe you won't answer me this time. We'll see how we get on. You seem to be levelling this at my door.
Done it. Well, you said you'd
Hey,
done
you
it.
want to bring them proofs?
But you haven't done it. You said go and ask a mariner, so I'm looking for a mariner.
There might be one on the panel.
That's what I'm looking
Have
for.
you asked?
There's
Anybody
a guy
here a
lives near me,
mariner?
he's a yacht master. There's a
Where's
yacht master
Johnny
lives
at?
near me, and he taught
Where's Johnny
navigation,
at?
so I'm going to talk to
Sorry,
him.
you asked Johnny, right?
Yeah, where's Johnny?
Have you asked Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny Barnard. He's a mariner.
You're not
Kick
answering
him
me.
out, Johnny. What's
Ed
he
Bear,
wanna
you're
come
not.
here
You don't
for?
seem to be answering me. There's one that you've had conversations with. Have
I
you
am.
spoken to Johnny
I am.
about it or not?
Well, you know what? Johnny's not
Is that a
around.
no? Is that a no? What's the answer?
No, I haven't spoken to
Oh,
Johnny.
well,
He's
then
not the
go
only
and
mariner
speak
in
to
the world. Jesus.
Johnny. He'll
What?
explain.
You should kick him out. You don't
Excuse
trust
me,
him.
I'll
You don't
just
like him.
correct you. Johnny'll tell you how Earth's measured flat. And he's a mariner, and your arguments with celestial navigation, it would seem. So go speak to
Don't talk
Johnny.
somebody else. I don't need to talk
Go
to
speak
Johnny.
to Johnny. He'll tell you how Earth's measured flat for navigation and that. And he's done it. That's your standard. Now sod off. Go speak to Johnny. He'll tell you how Earth's
Don't talk
measured
to
flat,
about
mate.
ether. I'll
Yeah,
talk to
you
about
can,
ether. What
you
about
can then send us your emails from Johnny back and forth, and you can tell us how Johnny told you it was measured flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't.
So,
You
have you
kick him
done?
out.
You haven't done it
He's
yet.
your
Why are you
friend
still
and you kick
talking
him
to
out.
us? Why are you still talking?
He's not here, Johnny B, is he?
Well, go find him.
Surprised he's left you.
Go find him. Instead of levelling
Yeah,
at our door that which has
Lumpy,
been
he's
done
gone.
by Johnny, flat, measured,
Lumpy.
flat, dealt with,
Started
flat,
him well.
navigated, flat, by Johnny. Now you can talk through me confirming that which I say daily, which is that Earth is measured flat for navigation. Now those facts you don't have to like. You can tell me what Lumpy thinks when he shares my private emails with you. You can do that. Meanwhile, someone who's actually done this process will tell you how Earth's measured flat. That'd be Johnny. Now go find him. We're done with you.
Where's your sister then? Maybe she should come and explain.
No, I'm not going to give you my sister's details. She's not part of this forum.
Well, you could bring her forward, because you never did.
You
it.
can suck
didn't
my
even
dick.
remember
Shut up
that
about
you
my
did it.
sister. Shut
You
up.
never even remember she
Shut up or
told
you'll be
you.
removed. Last chance. You'll be removed if you don't shut up about my
Get
family.
rid of him, please.
You bring her up, not me. That's your
Yeah,
evidence.
I do. I will bring up whoever the bloody hell I like in my own bloody family.
Okay, well then don't ask me not to refer to it when you say that's your proof.
No, I've said go speak to Johnny, someone who's
You
done
did
it.
it.
I haven't done it. She's not here. He is.
No, Nathan.
You
You
don't
need
even
to
remember.
speak to Bev
Instead,
and
you
they're
don't
on
even
the
remember
level
when
crew
she
and
did it.
produce the
Oh,
proof.
right. Here we go. He's questioning my bloody memory now.
Well, you said
And
it.
he
I'm
needs
just
to
repeating
produce
what
the
you said.
proofs from the on the level crew. We need to
I
see
don't
these
repeat
proofs.
anything for you, Brian. I don't represent them.
You did,
I came to ask you
come
about
on.
perpendicular and angles to a
Have
curve.
confidence in your own crew. Have
Yeah,
confidence
why
in
wouldn't
your
you
own
want to
crew.
represent
Come
them?
on.
They're not my
Let's
crew.
focus on that.
Well, you
Why
have
wouldn't you
confidence
want
in
to
your
represent
crew because
Bev?
you won't say the Earth is
Is
measured
he not?
flat.
Is he not worthy of you putting the rubber stamp on his work?
represent
Wow.
I don't represent Bev.
Even I've
Wow, that's
represented
really
Bev.
not a good representation. I mean, I would hope that people would at least say, no, I mean, I may not represent him, but I think he's definitely worth an endorsement. No? No endorsement for Bev whatsoever? Okay, fine.
The disciples denied Jesus just as he is denying Bev.
I don't endorse Bev. He says stupid
But you're
shit
not
like
really
you can do
anybody in
fuck
the-
all with an angle. Bev says completely stupid shit. Why would I endorse him? When the guy's a moronic idiot that says stupid shit like you can do fuck all with an angle. That's stupid. I'm not going to endorse that.
Why don't we see you out in the public
We
doing
used
some
to.
debates,
We used to
like
endorse Bev.
Whitsit
We used
or
to promote
Jaron
Bev
or
all the time.
anybody?
I used to
like he does
promote
every
Bev
day.
and I
You're
wasn't
no
even
one.
even part of the on the level crew. But you seem to be reluctant to promote Bev and on the level crew. You seem to be reluctant to even want to
feed
be
your little
associated with them. I mean, why
sycophancy,
would you be
Brian.
associated? What's wrong?
You're just looking for butthurt, things to talk
why don't you
about.
have
You go
confidence
and
in the
deal
on the
with
level
it.
crew?
You've got issues with them.
Why don't you have
Talk to
confidence?
them,
It's
not
your
me.
crew. They're your crew. They're not mine. You should have
Hey, for
confidence.
the
No,
rest of
you go and talk to them.
watching, for anybody
Go and talk
watching,
to them.
why is it
You've got the
relevant that he's
problem.
denying Bev?
You got the issue. I'm not denying anybody. I said I don't represent
Yeah,
them.
denying
Brian's got
Bev. Well, we have
issues.
you're
He needs
denying
to
that
go and
you
deal with it,
represent
not with
on the
me.
level. You do.
It's not my
I mean,
history,
everyone
Brian.
knows you
It's
do.
yours. Go and deal
I
with
mean,
it.
your nickname is Elder
Go and
Bev.
deal with your
That's
issues,
for no
Brian.
reason.
We heard you the first
I mean,
16 times. Thanks, Edinburgh.
Well, he keeps repeating it. He needs to go and do it.
Relevant that
He's a
he
man. Go and
says
speak
that
to
he
them,
doesn't
not me.
represent Bev
They're
for
not
the
my
audience.
issues.
Okay,
Not
well,
my
you
issues,
publicly
they're
state
Brian's
that you
problem.
don't represent Bev and on the level crew. Publicly.
Renounce Bevtard right now.
Yeah.
I told you I don't represent them. I'm not renouncing anybody. What have I got to renounce? You know. I
Yeah,
haven't
you're right.
taken
Nothing to
anybody on as
renounce. He
my
doesn't do anything.
leader or something. Not like you do with bloody Oakley and QE here. I mean, Jesus Christ.
You know what, Elder Bear? You know what
I don't
difference
need a
between you and Bev? You know what difference
leader. I
between
haven't
you
got a
and
leader. I
Bev?
don't
Is
need
that
one.
Bev
I
does
really
know
don't need
something.
one.
And Bev can have a
How many
conversation about
times have you
something.
said Bev
But
today?
you can't. You're just a
Look in
heap
the
of rubbish.
transcript.
You're just a total
Count
heap of
them.
rubbish. You don't have any
Bev.
information or knowledge on any of this. At least Bev knows something.
Well, go and talk
Do you
to
mean
him. It's
Bev
your
don't
issue,
know
obviously,
nothing,
over
knows something.
years.
Bev has proven he knows something. But you've proven nothing. All you've proven is that you have no loyalty to Bev and on the level crew. You have no confidence in them. And
No,
that you're
no
unwilling to have
loyalty. I
any
haven't.
honest
No.
conversation or discourse in any way. So, I
didn't
mean,
bring
I
their
think they should be
claims here,
be renouncing you, Elder Bear, really.
Okay, that's fine. Sure they will.
I won't
Sure
want
they
you on
will.
my
They
crew
can
because
decide.
you have no loyalty.
Oh, well.
Yeah, if
fine.
somebody asked me to
Brian, can I ask you
represent
a question?
Brian, I'd work meat if I could.
Yeah, go on then. Yeah. But he said the
Yeah.
Earth's not measured
Yeah,
flat,
you want me
Brian.
to represent
Can't
Brian right
measure a
now?
description, he said. So,
Elder
I will
Bev.
vouch.
Lumpy said that.
Elder Bev.
Apparently QE said
Elder
it as
Bev.
well.
Elder Bev, we got a question for you.
Yeah, what?
Please provide scientific
is that
evidence for
Flatsy's
your
dad?
ballpark.
Flatsy's dad, is it?
I couldn't even get it out.
He's gonna talk right through you.
Yeah, poor old Neil.
He's going to try
You're
and touch you. He
gaslighting
call
Neil.
you
What do you think
Flatsy's
about that?
dad. That's what he's going to try. That's what he called him.
Elder Bev, please
He
provide
calls me
evidence
what
for
he
your
wants. There you go. Elder Bev. All right, Flatsy's dad.
Yeah, but Brian, can I ask you a question?
That's his
Did the Elder
dad.
Bear not
Did he
say
just say
like,
Flatsy's
Neil's
dad?
being gaslit by him.
Someone trying to ask me
did
a
he say
question,
the
I
Earth's
think,
not?
Sit down, one
But-
deck. You're just as bloody.
No,
You know, what
did
are
you
you,
not?
troll?
Did you say that the Earth's not being referenced in celestial navigation?
What are you talking about?
He did say that.
You know
Yes,
what
he
you're talking
did.
about? I never said that.
Yeah, he did. He just tried to level it at us. Like it's our claim. That's why I tried to get clarity out of him 3 times about whether his questions were about celestial navigation or about things that I or Brian were doing. That's why I got that. Didn't get the clarity from him. Got lots of
What did you
rumpusing.
say,
Hold
one
on.
deck?
That's all we say is that the Earth is the reference. Now it's not according to us. Really?
Well, what's the horizon? What's the horizon, Bear?
It's apparent. It's apparent.
So we can
it's the
see
line
it.
of it's the Earth's surface. It's the Earth's surface, and the sky appears to meet. So Earth is referenced in the horizon, and the horizon is definitely used in celestial navigation. Hence the
Really?
horizon mirror.
It's
Yeah,
not
really.
geometric, though, is it? How can you be
Well, I'm just
using
saying-
we
not
went through this with
geometric?
Anthony.
Well, the
Globe can't
water
use it.
is a geometric point, Elder Bear. You're claiming the water,
The water's
real
not a
physical,
geometric
tangible
point. Don't be
water,
silly, Brian.
is not a geometric
looked
point
at-
on the Earth.
Right.
Do you know, I went to the
The
beach
horizon
this
is
morning.
where
Right? I
the
looked at the horizon.
plane and the
I looked
actual
at.
plane.
I went to
is-
the beach.
Oh my God, you don't
I
want
went
to
to the
know.
beach. I looked at the horizon.
Yeah,
and
all
it
he
looks
wants
horizontal.
is when Neil says he's
I
the
don't even
rumpus.
understand.
What Neil means is Ed Bear's overall intention is to cause complete audio chaos. The subject matter's not really that relevant, and me talking now makes no difference. He's yammering straight through the middle of me. I'll just close the line. Wanker. He's here to cause audio chaos. He's one of those. That's what you mean, right, Neil?
Yes, exactly. Not that Rumpus had arguments and he doesn't. That's not what I meant. I meant what you said.
Elder Bear's problem is
You didn't get grabbed by the rapture, then, Neil. You're obviously not a good Christian.
Why do you hate us, Elder Bear? Why do you hate us?
I don't hate you. You
You
tap
do
me,
hate
Brian,
us.
and tell me I
Only
represent
somebody
somebody I
who
don't.
hates
'Cause
somebody
you've
would
got
do what you're doing.
problems.
That would require
You
a
got
level of
problems,
hatred.
It
That would require
does.
hatred, internal, in the stomach hatred, black hatred.
You
What,
just-
what, is,
Hold on,
what did we do to
Brian,
you?
hold on.
What
He
did we
just said
do to you,
something
Elder
to
Bear?
me. He just said something to me. Let me answer. He just
sorry,
said
yeah.
I mustn't be a good Christian. You're absolutely right. I'm not good. That's
Well,
not
you
what
know,
Christianity's
Brian,
about.
Well,
You read half
Neil,
the book
sorry.
again.
Yeah. All right, Neil. Never mind.
Elder Bear.
Yeah, never
I
mind.
can't
Neil.
help it
Never
if you've
mind,
got
Neil.
problems.
He
I
just
can't
has
help
hatred
it
for
if you've got
everybody.
issues with people from the past over the years. That's not my problem, Brian. All right, you go and deal with it. Stop putting that onto me.
No, your problems aren't my problems, or they shouldn't be, but you keep on bringing them to me and everyone else here. All your hatred.
I
or
just
your
asked
bitterness
you a
and your hate.
question, Brian.
Your bitterness and hatred.
Perpendicular.
Anyone would have been happy to be given the information that I gave you concerning the compass. I want to go,
How many
I
times
understand
you said
about
Bev
Thanks,
today,
Brian.
and
I would
he's
have
not
gone,
even
You're
here?
welcome, anytime. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But that's not how it went. You had to deny it that you were proven wrong, and then come back with some straw man version to try and attack me with. I mean, it seems to me I'm not
I
the one
believe
with the
that
problem here.
just to get
You made the rules,
back to
not
his
me.
little argument
You
he
made the
brought up,
rules.
he just said that where surface level appears to meet the sky has nothing to do with the surface level. Is that what you just said?
I never said that, did I? I said apparent.
You
I
said
never said anything
horizon,
like that.
horizon,
I said I went to the
horizon is
sea. I
apparent,
saw the
right? So
horizon.
the apparent
Yeah, and
position for surface level appears to meet the sky has nothing to do with the surface of Earth, correct? That's what you said.
I never said that. No, you're lying. I never said that.
John, you don't
No, I'm
even know
not.
what he said.
I
The
said it's
word
the
you
apparent
used
He
horizon
said
that
as
you
little as
said.
horizon
possible,
was
John.
apparent. You
I
just
said
said
if
the
it's not
horizon was
geometric,
apparent, had nothing to do with the surface of Earth.
woohoo. You said
When
that
it's
the globe
listen,
can't
no.
have it because
Oh, shut up. When it's parroted back to you, it sounds stupid.
Shut up, Neil.
Right,
Shut the fuck up.
Sounds
Neil,
stupid when
listen.
it's said back to you, right?
Repeat it. I just
Who
want
should I
to
talk
hear you
to?
say it again because it's hilarious. Say it again.
You said the globe can't have the horizon because it's not geometric, and you got it as apparent and not geometric as well. So how can you have it?
No, you don't understand the argument. he doesn't understand.
Oh, I do.
It's
No,
that the
clearly.
horizon is
The
not
way
the
is the
leading edge of the
Earth.
globe. The horizon is not a
Half
the leading edge of the globe.
Your
You don't
horizon's
understand the
apparent.
argument. You don't understand. You
you
just
Is
all
your
understand that you
horizon
don't know what you're
Right.
talking about.
Haven't we gone
is
over
your
this
horizon
before with him?
geometric?
We went over
Is
it.
your
Haven't we
horizon
gone over it?
geometric, Brian?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
just
Elder,
everyone
we're-
stop. Edabez's not going to be satisfied until he misrepresents that which is being dealt with in celestial navigation as one of our claims of geometry. That's what he's doing. It's his bag. It's his game. That's what he's here to do.
Yeah, little laugh
That's what
there,
you
Nathan.
said.
You're a clown.
Is
We
it
already went
geometric
over
then, the
this last
horizon, or
week.
not?
We already went over this last week and exposed your dumbass. Define the
All right,
geometric
Flatsy
horizon.
Dad. Sit down.
Define it. Define it. We'll do it again.
I
Fuck
said
it.
to you,
Define it.
is it geometric in your claim?
Define
Or is it
geometric
apparent?
horizon.
Which
It's a
is
false
it?
dichotomy.
You said
It's
it
a
was
false
redundant.
dichotomy,
You
idiot.
said it was redundant.
Idiot. I'm going to run. I'll tell you what. I'm fucking tired of it.
You run.
You're fucking done.
Yeah, go on.
No swearing.
Yeah.
Bye.
No. That, in fairness, that should be okay, Nathan. I mean, there's only so much trolling and hatred you can take from someone. No stupidity from somebody.
In saying that where surface level appears to meet the sky is the horizon, where's the claim that's geometric?
It isn't. But the water can be a geometric point. The water can meet that. Well,
Doofus is trying to. He's got you in a false dichotomy. He wants you to stay. He thinks there's a difference between the geometric horizon being apparent and geometric when the geometric horizon is apparent because he's a moron. We went through this last week.
we know, but he keeps on wanting to go around. If you remember, when I was asking him for the proofs that are given over on the level, he denied the on the level crew and Bev. Now, he's not really denying them because he's part of them, but wouldn't you think if they had anything that they'd come forward with it publicly? Why do you have to go over there and have your time wasted for 2 hours and leave without getting these proofs? Because that's what will happen if you go over there. They don't. These proofs, they're talking about them for about 3 years or more now, and they're not producing them. And when one of them is asked for the proofs, he denies that he's even part of the crew.
Without the Earth's
Right.
surface, you wouldn't have a fucking horizon.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do this like QE suggested. You're gonna have to define your terms, dude. You're being incoherent.
No, that wasn't Elabel. That was one day.
It was me, that, John.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right, mate.
I think
So-
QE went in and just ended them. Did you, QE?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, Elder Bev, define geometric horizon with citation now.
Flatsy's dad. You tell me whether it's a.
No, you ain't coming off moot until I see a citation in main text of geometric horizon. Get to it.
All globe proof.
Damn, you got a load of people in here, Nathan. Almost got 30 people in here.
In the after show,
It's
yeah.
not your year, by the way.
It's not my year.
I'd like to know why
everyone's
you righteous. Sorry.
Go ahead, Sydney.
Oh, I was just being silly. Bad joke. Topical humor isn't my thing. But why can't it be everyone's year? Just roll with it. I was just kidding.
Are you Irish?
I think I'm Flemish, but
That's
Close
close
enough.
enough. That's the problem.
Close enough. That's way away.
well, it's confusing having two languages. That is a problem. Yeah, among other things. Go on.
Ryan said that's way away.
Yes, it's probably
I missed
closer
you,
to
Kiwi.
you.
Good to see you. Yeah. No, good to see you, Kiwi. And good show.
What's
I
up,
was
Sid?
listening in.
All my shows are good shows. Shit.
Your
He has been
modesty has
renamed
no limit.
Flatsy's dad for some reason.
Huh?
Hey, Ken.
You've been renamed Flatsy's dad.
Yeah, Elder Bev got triggered by Elder Bev, and he was like, well, "You're Flatsy's dad, then." Yeah.
Right, if we're just
Don't know
gonna,
why we're wasting time with him.
well, precisely, if we're just going to now discuss the ad homs that have come our way from him, we're going to round out at this particular juncture. So, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Promo streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!